breath. There's a little bit of snow falling now as well in Kiev. What an occasion and what an opportunity for Shakhtar maybe to shock Real Madrid once again. We'll keep you up to date with the other early match between Lokomotiv Moskva and Salzburg. Neither of those sides can go through tonight, but they could make it very difficult for Atletico behind Bayern in Group A. Later on, remember, kicking off at 2100 CT, 6 more games, including our late commentary between Liverpool and Ajax. We want you to get involved using the hashtag MatchDayLive. Tell us where in the world you are listening, and we want your greatest players for your club and why. In honour of that game at Anfield, because the last time they met there, Johan Cruyff was Ajax's hero. But for now, and for the next 45 minutes, it is all about Real Madrid, the record champions of Europe, and Shakhtar Donetsk. Can Madrid make it through once again? We'll find out in the company of Tanya Oxtoby, the Bristol City women's manager and England coach, and your match commentator is Mike Sewell. Mike, lovely hat Zinedine Zidane's got. It's that cold.
I was about to say it must be cold in Kiev, because Zinedine Zidane is wearing a white beanie hat with the Real Madrid emblem on the front. -1 degree centigrade is the temperature, with the sleet falling, which is not that cold apparently for Kiev at this time of year, but regardless it will be pretty chilly for those Real Madrid players. They were caught cold on match day 1. Will Zinedine Zidane's side get a similar reception from the home team, and I say home team in inverted commas, Shakhtar, who'll be hoping they can perform to a similar level as they did on that game. We're about to get underway. Referee, as Chris mentioned, a video hat again from Romania. Shakhtar in their two-tone orange kit, Real Madrid in pretty much all white with pink trim. Karim Benzema is the captain, and he's just shaken hands with Taras Stepanenko, the skipper of Shakhtar, and both sets of players now ready to get this match day 5 contest underway. And it's going to be Shakhtar who do that, attacking the goal away to the left in the first half, and they have possession on this near side, although are immediately robbed of it by Luka Modric. I'll run through the two lineups. Shakhtar have Anatoly Trubin, the teenager, in goal. Across the back, Dodo, Vitao, Bondar and Matvienko. Midfield, Kovalenko, Stepanenko. The attacking players, Tyson, Marlos and Tete, in support of Junior Moraes. Real Madrid, they've got Thibaut Courtois in goal. Their defensive back four is Lucas Vazquez, who's dropped back into that right back position. Varane, Nacho and Mondi, as Real Madrid come forward now, and the ball is played towards Benzema from this near side by Rodrigo. The midfield three, Modric, Kroos and Odegaard, and it's Rodrigo, Benzema and Asensio up front. It's a strong team put out by Zinedine Zidane, who wants to make sure of their passage through to the knockout stages. But it's been a difficult season in many ways for Real Madrid, who currently sit 4th in La Liga. But Tanya, I think to bet against them tonight, although going by the first game you might think that's a possibility, it might be a bit of a risk.
Yeah, I think you look at the Real Madrid lineup and the quality that they've got all the way across the pitch. And I think I said in pre-match it's going to be about them setting the tone early and making sure that they can, not get drawn into that frustration, I suppose, from the first game and when they played each other. But we can see now that Shakhtar's enjoying some possession here and being patient in their build-up. So, in terms of the, it's all good on paper, but that's not always the way it works out in football, is it?
Nope, and Luis Castro, the coach of Shakhtar, will tell you that. His team played exceptionally well in Madrid. And now they're coming forward with Tyson towards this near side. Ball clipped into the penalty area. That looked like handball right in front of the referee. And it's going to be a free kick to Real Madrid just inside their own penalty area. Tyson using his strength there to get away from a couple of Real Madrid players, and it was dinked in wonderfully well. And even though Viktor Kovalenko was onside, he used his arm to bring the ball down. 2.5 minutes played in Kiev. As Real Madrid come forward now. Lucas Vazquez in an advanced position up towards the edge of the area. Benzema trying to work his way around the Shakhtar defence, which is very compact. He's gone out for a throw-in on this near side. Benzema moving in close to receive the throw-in from Lucas Vazquez. Odegaard turns. Now centre field with Modric, who tries to switch the play to the left, but it's cut out on the far side by Dodô, one of the Brazilian players in the Shakhtar lineup, and goes out for a throw-in on the far side. Tanya.
You can see that Shakhtar are sitting in almost like a 4-1-4-1 formation as Real Madrid's trying to build, so they're going to have to move the ball quickly, use the wide areas, and look to sort of switch the play early to try and break down the organised Shakhtar defence.
Yes, the man sitting in front of that four is the captain, Taras Stepanenko. It'll be an important job for him tonight to pick up people like Luka Modric and Toni Kroos, shut them down in goal scoring or shooting positions at least. And they're pressing quite high up the pitch. The ball is in the right back position of Shakhtar. They're attacking the goal away to the left. They've lost possession midway inside their own half. Rodrigo plays it to the left hand angle of the penalty area. Benzema left-footed in and touched onto the post by Marco Asensio. 4 minutes on the clock and Real Madrid showing real intent against Shakhtar.
Great pressing there from Real Madrid to win the ball back in their final third, and their transition's nice and sharp there, and really unlucky not to score.
Terrific play by Benzema, just a low ball in. It didn't even look like he hit it cleanly, but Asensio just skipped in front of Trubin and lifted the ball over the goalkeeper, but onto the woodwork. So Real Madrid almost getting themselves in front at an early stage, and they've seen the majority of the possession. The ball has spent much of the time inside the Shakhtar half, but at the moment Shakhtar have it in attack. Tyson to the left-hand angle of the area. First touch from Junior Moraes was a bit heavy, under pressure from a Real Madrid defender. Now the ball is back in the Shakhtar half. Tyson on the halfway line, tucked in on this left side, forced to go all the way back to Vitao. And again, Shakhtar have lost it. Back it comes towards the Shakhtar area. Rodrigo square to Benzema. About 35 metres out. Kroos to the right-hand angle of the box. Rodrigo clips it through, looking for Odegaard. Clipped away by Shakhtar. And there's a real busyness about Real Madrid, Tanya.
You can really see that they've got it appears to be really clear instructions that as soon as they lose possession, they want to counter press and try and win it back as quickly and as high up the pitch as they can, and they're really trying to stretch Shakhtar as well in those wide areas, and a little bit more quality on the passes, and I think that they're going to create a lot more opportunities for themselves.
Real Madrid, as we know, lost that opening game in the group stage to tonight's opponents. They then drew. Dramatic comeback to get a 2-2 draw away at Borussia Mönchengladbach, but then two very good victories away from home and at home against Inter have kept them very much in the running, and a victory in this game will take them through to the knockout phases. Shakhtar cannot afford to lose, otherwise they will definitely not be playing in the knockout stages. Shakhtar have possession. Marlos from the far side, which is their right, into centre field to find Vitao. Now it's with Matvienko. Back to Vitao, another of the Brazilians. Clip down this near side. Back into the centre circle. Real Madrid right at the heels of the Shakhtar players when they receive the ball. Tyson over towards the right now, on the edge of the area, trying to find some room. It's now Marlos at the D, twisting 360, going back out to the right. Tyson drives it in towards goal, but that was never really going to trouble Thibaut Courtois.
Getting some real success, Shakhtar, with their fullbacks sort of pushing on in the more advanced areas there and being able to get on the ball and face forward, which is creating some problems for Madrid. So it's something they're going to have to keep an eye on there, because their fullbacks are getting out quite easily as an outlet.
Real Madrid 13 times winners of the UEFA Champions League / the European Cup. The last of those in this very stadium 2.5 years ago. Shakhtar's best finish, so to speak, in the UEFA Champions League is a quarter-final appearance almost 10 years ago now. They haven't progressed from the group stage that many times, even though this is their 15th appearance. Odegaard trying to play it down the line and return it to Rodrigo, but it's straight out of play for a goal kick to Shakhtar. Certainly the Real Madrid players will have felt they're getting themselves a little bit warmer given the sub-zero temperatures. Here's Tyson under pressure from Lucas Vazquez. 3 Real Madrid players high up the pitch putting pressure on Tyson, and it's paid off because Real Madrid have won it back again. I wonder how many turnovers there have been already, because Real Madrid certainly showing the initiative and not being passive at all, which they could have been blamed for their performance in Madrid. A little bit under pressure inside their own half on the far side. Nacho eventually keeps it in their possession. Kroos into the Shakhtar half, looking for that long ball that he likes to play. Down the right it goes. First time touch by Vazquez. Gets the return from Benzema. And then Vazquez just caught Kovalenko, and it's going to be a free kick to Shakhtar midway inside their own half.
That press from Real Madrid is really, when they're forcing Shakhtar to play centrally, is really causing them some problems, and they're managing to win the ball back in dangerous areas and then transition, which it seems to be part of the game plan. Sort of in the first sort of 15 minutes, you know, we'll see if it changes, but certainly in the first 10, it's been very, very hectic in there.
Shakhtar were 3-0 up at half-time in the reverse fixture, thanks to goals from Tete, a Varane own goal and a Solomon strike just before the break. But Real Madrid came back and scored twice through Modric and Vinicius Junior, but it wasn't enough to earn them any points. Kroos, deep inside his own half, plays it to the far side, the Real Madrid left, back to Nacho. Good pressing from Shakhtar, particularly Junior Moraes.
It's very, very compact. There's not a lot of space to play in between the lines, just as I speak.
Modric plays it through and Benzema's onto it, strikes it straight at the goalkeeper. Trubin parries it away, but Real Madrid are still inside the Shakhtar box. Rodrigo out to the near side, the right. Lucas Vazquez under pressure from Tyson. Gets the better of him. Short ball to Odegaard. Still on this near side, the Real Madrid right. Modric just playing that lovely ball through for Benzema, who wasted no time in getting the shot away. And now it's Modric again, down the middle. Brought down by Asensio and headed out for a corner by Vitao.
It was a brilliant ball centrally there to try and break the lines, Shakhtar lines, and Modric got on the ball facing forward, and a lovely little through ball centrally for Benzema.
Benzema holding his line and then taking a couple of strides before the shot. Corner's been taken and Kroos has it on this near side. Can't get the left-footed cross in because it's blocked at close range by Dodo. Now it's with Furlong Mendy into centre field, and Nacho spreads it out to the Real Madrid left. 11.5 minutes played in Kiev. Shakhtar Donetsk 0, Real Madrid 0. Mendy out towards the left, but it's too strong for Marco Asensio. But Zinedine Zidane will be really pleased with the way his team have started here. 0-0.
Still love that beanie hat that he's wearing. Bright white, you really can't miss him. It's 0-0 in the other early match here on UEFA Champions League Match Day Live between Lokomotiv and Salzburg. Bright start from the Austrian champions, who really need a win tonight. Lokomotiv looking to keep pace. Both these teams actually looking to keep pace with Atletico in the hunt behind Bayern, who are already through as group winners in that section. Later, remember, commentary coming up of Liverpool against Ajax and the goals as they go in from the 5 other late matches. Nothing to report in either of the early games in terms of goals, Mike Sewell, but Real Madrid well on top. in terms of play, at least, against Shakhtar.
Certainly so. They're enjoying the majority of the possession, and the ball is spending most of its time inside the Shakhtar half, which is the half away to our right. Here's Lucas Vázquez under pressure from Tyson, forced to go back to Rafael Varane, and he returns the ball to Vázquez, who's then brought down by Junior Moraes. Apologetic from the Shakhtar forward, and smiles all round between the two. Kroos for Nacho, and now to the Real Madrid left with Benzema, midway inside the Shakhtar half. Back it goes to Nacho again, and the bearded defender's pass is a short one. Moraes then clipped it beyond Varane, and Varane, well, as they say, Tanya, took one for the team, because otherwise Junior Moraes would have been clean through down the middle. Yeah,
I think he had to go for that there, didn't he? And yellow card, but, you know, stop the attack, and gives a chance for Real Madrid to regroup. There's an under-hit pass there that's really caused some problems trying to play across the back line for Real Madrid.
Yes, it wasn't the best of balls from Nacho to his teammate Varane, and Moraes got there first, pushed it around Varane, but then felt the full force of the Frenchman's body as he ran straight into him, and he's still laid out on the ground, and he's in some pain as well. Can't see whether it's
not what you want
leg injury
when it's -1 degree. Is a dead leg. When it's that cold, it's certainly not pleasant.
No, he's receiving treatment from 2 Shakhtar physios. Referee, in the meantime, Ovidio Hatagan, has booked Rafael Varane, the first player to go into the notebook. There was some cover coming in from right and left, Nacho and Vázquez, but Moraes would have gone some distance had he got beyond Varane. I don't think you could argue that it was a clear goal-scoring opportunity, so it doesn't warrant a red card, but certainly does warrant a yellow card. Worth noting, there's only one player amongst the 2 squads that's in a situation where, should they get a yellow card in this game, they would face suspension on matchday 6, and that's Casemiro, and that might be why he's on the bench, to be perfectly honest. Doesn't look too good here for Junior Moraes.
Looks in a lot of pain, and we really hope that obviously that's nothing too serious. Doesn't look great at the moment, does it?
That'll be a big loss for Shakhtar if he was to go off. He's now getting back to his feet, but rather gingerly, with the help of the physios, as the sleep still falls in Kiev.
Cold old night to pick up a bang like that. Shakhtar would not want to lose one of their main men, as Junior Moraes, well, he's got back to his feet, then he's gone down again. They are calling for the stretcher, and I think, unfortunately, for Shakhtar's number 10, his night is going to finish after 16 minutes here in Kiev. Major blow. Tanya, from a management point of view, do you have plans if you lose someone after 15 minutes, or do you just look to your bench and think, okay, who do I have to bring on now?
Yeah, I think it's never ideal, is it? I think you certainly have all of your plan A, B and C just in case, and I'm sure that you know, in terms of when you're looking at your bench, you've got some like-for-like replacements, and everybody should know what their roles and responsibilities will be, but obviously not ideal to lose one of your starting 11 players, you know, 16 minutes in.
Looks like it's going to be Dentinho who is going to come on here. The golf buggy has come onto the pitch. The type of moment as well where the players probably need to keep warm as well, right? Because if they mill around for 5 minutes here and all of a sudden the game goes back, it's nice to see Rafael Varane go over and offer his best wishes, actually, because it was a foul on Junior Moraes, and that was nice sportsmanship from Varane. But important now, I guess, that the players keep focused in what has been a fairly lengthy break now.
Yeah, really important, like you say, that the concentration levels are there, and they're focused for the restart. And you know, the weather in particular, certainly not my kind of weather.
I was going to say,
with the snow falling, but yeah, it's even more so now. You know, it's about concentration and making sure that you're switching back on, ready to go and adjust to the substitution that's been made.
For those of you that don't know, Tanya Oxtoby grew up in her native Australia, which is a world away from the weather in Kiev this evening. We are back underway, and Mike Short, it remains 0-0. There'll be a decent amount of added on time now at the break.
Yeah, I would say at least 3 minutes for that. Moraes has gone off on the golf buggy, and Shakhtar In fact, we thought Dentinho was about to come on, but Junior Morais is hobbling back onto the field. He clearly feels he might be able to run this off. As you said, it looks like to be a dead leg on his right leg, but he's back on, so no substitution made. Real Madrid coming forward on the edge of the area through Rodrigo. Kovalenko then plays it upfield. Morais lays it off and then limps away, and it goes down this near side of the left to Marlos, the grey-haired Shakhtar midfielder. Left-footed. Morais still hobbling around up towards the edge of the Real Madrid penalty area. And Marlos forced to go all the way back to Vitao, and Shakhtar would have to build again. Well, we'll see in the next few minutes whether Morais can run that off. But it's like Lazarus. We expected him to disappear down the tunnel in the buggy, but as yet, no change made. 18.5 minutes played, no goals. And Shakhtar enjoying the possession at the moment. They've yet to really cause any problems for Real Madrid. It's been at the other end where the threats have been. Asensio hitting the post, Benzema forcing a save out of Trubin. Real Madrid get a free kick now. Luis Castro is in conversation with his backroom staff. Morais clutching at his right thigh. I mean, surely that's going to tighten up if it's a really bad dead leg. Is he going to be able to continue?
It's a difficult one, I think. In terms of it, he obviously really wants to stay out there, but from a physical point of view, I guess in the next minute or so we'll see if he can shake that off, because it's not looking particularly promising right now.
Shakhtar taking a quick free kick out towards the far side. They're right, Tete has it. The man who was instrumental in taking down Real Madrid in the reverse fixture. Long cross in deep to the far post where Matvienko, the defender, was waiting. Real Madrid clear it. Benzema chests it into the path of Modric, but the pass is a little short for Asensio. Now Kroos. Morais still on the pitch and moving around, but not moving around very comfortably, it's fair to say. Kroos just short of the halfway line into Odegaard. Now it's Nacho for Varane. Vasquez on the near side, just in from the touchline. Down the right it goes. Good turn in by Modric. Lovely ball with the outside of his right boot, but it just had too much on it, and it popped up kindly for Trubin. But had it not done that, Benzema would have been in.
Everything positive going forward is going through Modric at the moment. He's the one picking up the pockets of space and looking to be really creative in behind that Shakhtar back four. So if they can get him on the ball a little bit more, I'm sure that things will start to open up.
Real Madrid have it back again. Momentarily, Shakhtar got inside the Real Madrid half, but now it's Varane in control of the ball. Back to the Germany international, Toni Kroos, opening his palms, beckoning a teammate to give him an option. Modric, very calmly looking around to see who the best option is. Nacho, in the end, goes all the way back to Thibaut Courtois. So Shakhtar doing a good job of closing Real Madrid down in their defensive third. Modric. Back again to Varane. And then left-footed, he strikes it to the far side. It's a beautifully weighted pass into the feet of Asensio. Asensio possibly barged over by Tete. Referee was in close attendance and decided there was no free kick. So Shakhtar crossed the halfway line. Moving away to the left, Tyson, centre field, midway inside the Real half now. He's got both Odegaard and Modric for company. He just seemed to be in two minds as to what to do with the ball. And as a result, it's Real Madrid who come forward on the counter-attack. Rodrigo to the right. Lucas Vasquez is onside. A couple of options in the middle. Played in towards Benzema. Headed out, though, by Valery Bonda. Shakhtar at least seeing a fair bit of the ball, even if they're not doing much with it.
There's that ball out to the fullback again, with a little bit of time and space to face forward, out to the right-hand side, and now they've got control possession again, Shakhtar, and they can look to build with some patience.
Junior Morais, incidentally, seems to be running a little bit freer now. as we go past the midway point of the first half, where it remains goalless in Kiev. If it stayed this way, it wouldn't solve much for either of these two teams, but it would be a big plus for Borussia Mönchengladbach ahead of their game against Inter. Dentinho, incidentally, is stripped and ready to go here, so I wonder whether Shakhtar will make that change that we thought was coming after the initial stoppage. Vitao, short ball down the left to Matvienko. Now Tyson tries to outwit Lucas Vazquez with a step over, but in the end decides to play it back. Both teams very compact defensively. Marlos from the right, cutting in on his favoured left foot, plays it short for Tyson. Out to the left now, Matvienko. The ball's behind Marlos. Marlos was making the dart into the area. And Real Madrid have possession back once more. Shakhtar's form of late has been quite mixed, but they've only lost 2 games this season, and both to the aforementioned Mönchengladbach. A fair few draws amongst them, but they're second in the Ukrainian Premier League at the moment, behind Dynamo Kiev, who they actually beat 3-0 here last month. That was a really big win for Luis Castro's team. Plenty of encouragement from the Shakhtar coach, and now the change will finally be made. Dentinho is going to come on for Junior Morais. Not really surprised. He's hobbling off. It was going to be very difficult for him to run that one off, Tony.
Yeah, it's a shame. You know, he's obviously thought that he might be able to continue and loosen that leg back off, but unfortunately that hasn't been the case, and the change has now been made.
So, coming off, Junior Morais, and on his place another of the Brazilians, 31-year-old Dentinho, who's made a couple of appearances in the UEFA Champions League this season. He's only ever scored 1 goal in this competition. Morais, incidentally, cutting a very frustrated figure, and that may be a problem for the next couple of games. Real Madrid have it with the score at 0-0. We've got 20 minutes left of the first half. They've hit the post and they've had a shot on goal which has been saved. Other than that, not a great deal to report in terms of chances.
No, and you can... Shakhtar is so compact when Real Madrid are trying to build, and they're having a load of success, Real Madrid, with that long diagonal ball. The pitch sort of opens up and the spaces open up once they've played that, but Shakhtar is so compact that it's very difficult to play anything centrally for Real Madrid at the moment.
They're going down the left though. Asensio plays it into the penalty area, cleared away by Stepanenko, the Shakhtar captain, out for a throw-in on the far side of the field, which Asensio will leave. Zinedine Zidane is in consultation with his backroom staff to see whether there might be some tweaking needed. Mondi at the dead ball line on the far side. I don't know whether the ball went out of play. I think it may well have done, or is an offside against Mondi. So 0-0 into the second part of this first half.
And it's the same scoreline in Moscow, Mike, between Lokomotiv and Salzburg. If Salzburg lose this game, they will definitely finish bottom of the pile. They've just had a shot there, very well blocked though, and another effort, and it's swept home. Now, does that one count? Mergin Berisha is off celebrating. The flag has stayed down, and Salzburg lead. It could be a priceless goal for the Austrian champions. Lokomotiv 0, Salzburg 1, 28 minutes gone in Moscow.
27 gone in Kiev. No goals here, as Shakhtar, who must avoid defeat to stay in with a chance of making it through to the round of 16. Clip forward down that far side, back to Dodot, who only succeeds in giving the ball straight to Toni Kroos. Now it's Asensio looking to find his German teammate, but as Tanya pointed out a minute ago, they're so compact defensively, Shakhtar, and it was the way that they managed to get the result they did in Madrid. That helped them, the way they played before hitting Real Madrid on the counter-attack. Will it be successful tonight? That remains to be seen. Vitao won't be able to keep the ball in by his own corner flag on this near side. So it's going to be a throw-in to Real Madrid. Lucas Vázquez has come down this near side to take it. It's very deep inside the Shakhtar half. Wants some movement. Gets it down the line from Benzema. Infield to Modric and back towards the halfway line where Kroos is waiting. Then it's right-footed, lifted down the near side for Vázquez, who's stayed in position, heading towards the dead ball line. It's a decent cross, but no one in a white shirt was attacking it. And just to be safe, Dodot puts it out for a Real Madrid corner. It's a very damp and cold night in Ukraine, as you can tell by the substitutes, particularly the Real Madrid substitutes. Barely anything showing, just the eyes. Snoods, hoods, puffer jackets, the lot. Odegaard with the corner from the left, swung in, headed down by Nacho, but straight at goalkeeper Trubin.
Just a bit more information on that Salzburg goal. A long VAR check to see whether Mergin Berisha was offside. The answer is he was not. So it stands Lokomotiv 0, Salzburg 1 in Group A, the same section as Bayern and Atletico, who meet later, Mike Sewell.
This is Group B, and this is Real Madrid out on the left with Ferland Mendy into the penalty area on the left. Odegaard into Asensio, whose shot is brilliantly palmed over by Trubin from very close range. Excellent effort and a really good save.
Lovely creativity inside the 18-yard box there to try and open up some space for the shot, and yeah, brilliant save from the goalkeeper.
So Asensio has already hit the post. He's now forced to save out of Trubin. And it's another corner from the left. Odegaard takes it, flicked on. Again, it's too close to the teenager, who grabs it in mid-flight and then hits the deck. He's almost half the age of Andrei Piatov, the other goalkeeper, as Odegaard tries a shot which is deflected into the arms of Trubin. Shakhtar causing their own problems, not getting the ball out of defence properly. Matvienko, the offender on this occasion, he played the ball high across his own penalty area. You're taught not to do that from a very young age.
Yeah, that's the type of thing that gives you a heart attack as a coach there. Yeah, you've got to be careful not to overplay in certain areas, especially with that aggressive press that Real Madrid are putting on in the front third. So just a little bit of decision making there around when to play and when it might need to go a little bit longer.
They've forced another throw in down this near side. You just sense that they're just going to find that perfect opening, and it's worrying for Luis Castro, the Shakhtar coach. Right edge of the area, down goes Rodrigo, no foul. Shakhtar get it away, but immediately they're pounced upon by Toni Kroos in that central area. Ball is played to Tyson down the left. The pass straight to Toni Kroos. Real Madrid doing a really good job of winning the ball off Shakhtar. Asensio to the left to Mendy. Benzema makes a dart down the middle. He's the target, as Vitao then heads it out to the far side for another throw-in to Real Madrid. The ball has spent the majority of the time inside the Shakhtar half. They've also lost one of their key players in Junior Moraes, off with what looked like a dead leg. Real Madrid, left-hand angle of the area. Asensio, right-footed across the box to this near side. Lucas Vázquez brings it down. Step over. Can't get around Matvienko, but he will win Real Madrid yet another corner.
Really important that Shakhtar get first contact on this corner that comes in. I think Real Madrid have got first contact on the last two, so we'll see what happens off this one.
It's taken short by Kroos to Modric. Back to Kroos on the right. Played in towards the back post, headed away by Shakhtar. Odegaard in, right edge of the area now. Kroos is surrounded by orange shirts. Almost everybody back defending for the home team. Even Dentinho, who's on the ball now, he's eventually fouled by Rodrigo. And it's going to be a free kick to Shakhtar Donetsk with 12.5 minutes left of the first half, plus added time, and there will be a few minutes of added time because of the Moraes injury. We're just looking back on a challenge that was made by Kovalenko on Rodrigo just outside the penalty area that wasn't given as a free kick. Meanwhile, another view of the chance that Asensio had, where it was lovely 1-2 with Odegaard before Trubin made the save. I think if Real Madrid go in at half-time without having scored, they'll feel immensely frustrated.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think on the opposite side of that, obviously all the momentum is with Real Madrid at the moment, and Shakhtar really need to make sure that they go into half-time without conceding, to give themselves a chance to regroup. And like you say, Real Madrid will be really disappointed if they don't get one before half-time with all the possession that they've had.
Real Madrid have it again. Odegaard towards this near side, midway inside Shakhtar territory. Rodrigo comes in field to Odegaard, nicely lifted with his left foot, no back lift at all, but Shakhtar have won it in midfield. Kovalenko forward to the edge of the centre circle, where Marlos is brought down by Nacho, right under the eyes of referee Hatigan.
Just drawing some free kicks here, Shakhtar, just to try and break the momentum up. That's sort of 2 in 2 minutes, so quite intelligent play to sort of slow the momentum down a little bit and try and take the sting out of the Real Madrid repeated attacks that they've been sustaining over the last sort of 20 minutes or so.
Just a reminder that if Real Madrid win in this game, they will go through to the knockout stages. And that will mean that Shakhtar cannot qualify for the round of 16. If it's a draw, it's still open-ended for both of these teams, but it's a big bonus for Mönchengladbach. If they draw, they would go through if this result was to stay as it is. But given the way that Real Madrid have played in the first half, I'd be utterly amazed if it stays at 0-0. The only reason it has done so far is that Trubin has made a couple of good saves, and they've had a bit of help from the woodwork. Not really had a chance to see Dentinho on the ball yet, not that Junior Moraes saw much of it before his departure. Marlos forced to go back. Odegaard and Benzema closing him down on that far side, and now as Vitao reaches it, he's put under pressure by Rodrigo, but he did just enough to get it away from his fellow Brazilian. Luis Castro just telling his players to just keep their heads, keep calm, and he'll feel that if they can go in at half-time without conceding, it would be a big plus. 4 shots on target so far for Real Madrid, Tanya.
Yeah, like I said, I think they need to get themselves into half-time. They've just drawn another free kick there, which is, again, slows the play down a little bit, but yeah, really important that they don't concede before half-time to give themselves a chance.
Dentinho with a cross, which is straight into the arms of Thibaut Courtois, who bowls it out straight away to Toni Kroos. Carefully guided to this right side. Lucas Vazquez back in field to Modric, who scored in that game on match day 1. Terrific goal that was from Luka Modric. Mondi tucked in on the touchline on the far side, goes into Kroos, driven right-footed long to Vazquez. It drops right at Vazquez's feet, but Matvienko was straight in there to get it off him. Kovalenko down the line for Tyson, across the halfway line for Shakhtar on the near side, attacking the goal away to the left. Tyson clearly looking for a free kick, which he doesn't get. Excellent officiating to spot that. And now Kroos forward to Odegaard. Down the line here for Rodrigo on the right. He's fouled by Matvienko. The assistant referee's flag is straight up in the air. So free kick Real Madrid.
I think if you're Zidane right now and you're looking at the transition moments for Real Madrid, you know, that particular attack there, they moved the ball really quickly before Shakhtar could get back into position. I think you'd be looking at a little bit more of that and sort of really honing in on that as a message at half-time to get their transition game going and try and catch Shakhtar before that they can get really, really compact and organised to try and break them down.
Free kick taken. Modric steers it to the far edge of the area where it's headed away into the feet of Nacho. Out on the Real Madrid left. He's got support from Asensio if he needs it. Instead he goes short to Kroos. Kroos can't find Asensio. He's forced to go in field. Then it's played forward rather hopefully by Ferland Mondi, and it dribbles out, literally dribbles out for a goal kick. So with 7.5 minutes left of the first 45, it remains Shakhtar 0, Real Madrid 0, but Real Madrid in the ascendancy, even though it's not showing on the scoreboard. Reminder that Salzburg lead in Moscow against Lokomotiv. Forward it's played to the halfway line. Dentinho tried to play it to Matvienko, but it's cut out by Real Madrid. Back to Courtois. He's not really had a great deal to do. He must be very cold back there, Thibaut Courtois.
Must be really freezing, yeah.
Thankfully he's got gloves on.
Long sleeves as well.
That's the one bonus for a goalkeeper. If you are inactive for much of the game, at least you've got gloves on. Not that they'll have too much thermal protection. Modric spinning in midfield. He and Kroos have literally dictated the play from central midfield. And Kroos is on it again, and he plays it to the Croatian. Modric skips away from one challenge, pokes it forward to Rodrigo, who can't hold on to it, and Shakhtar push it forward to Tyson over the halfway line into centre field. Tyson then to the edge of the area. Tete is after it, forced at an acute angle. It's being shepherded by Nacho, back to the edge of the area. Kovalenko thought about a shot. Stepanenko out to Marlos on the right now. Dodot on the edge of the area, goes around the outside, can't get the cross in properly. Kroos doesn't clear it that well, but he's got fortunate. Dodot was on the stretch, but then Benzema loses it, though the referee spots an infringement, and there will be a free kick. Chris.
Still 1-0 to Salzburg in the game against Lokomotiv, but plenty happening. Loco almost equalising. Murillo with a header, cleared off the line, and then Zé Luis with a follow-up shot, well saved by Stankovic for Lokomotiv's point of view. Salzburg through Sekou Koita. He went through on goal and hit the side netting. So still 1-0 to the Austrian side in Moscow, but a very entertaining game. How often have we said that when we talk about Salzburg in the UEFA Champions League? You're listening to Matchday Live with myself, Chris Parrott. Commentary coming up later of Liverpool against Ajax and the goals as they go in from the 5 other late matches. But your commentary team for Shakhtar, Real Madrid as we approach half-time is the Bristol City women's manager and England coach Tanya Oxtoby alongside Mike Sewell.
5 minutes left of the first half. Asensio going down the Real Madrid left, crossing in, but again not been able to get beyond Trubin. The sleet/snow is beginning to get a little heavier. Certainly not going to cause a problem on pitch level, but the temperature is below 0. Shakhtar, many of the players out there wearing gloves. In fact, most of the Shakhtar players are wearing gloves. And players like Odegaard and Benzema and Modric are not, despite being away from home. Varane goes in with a strong challenge, and the yelp you heard was from a Shakhtar player who's gone down holding his leg. I'm not sure whether it's Dentinho. Here's Rodrigo in the meantime, whose cross is blocked and it goes out for a corner. It is Dentinho who's gone down. I wonder whether they'll look at this.
Curse of the centre forwards, he's rolling around. Of course, he came on for Junior Marais, who got injured himself. Second goal in Moscow, a second goal for Mergen Berisha, and a second goal for Salzburg. Emphatic finish, his 4th of the season in the Champions League, and this makes Group A very, very interesting. Salzburg moving above Lokomotiv to within 1 point of Atletico ahead of their match against Bayern later. And who does Salzburg meet on match day 6 next week? It is Diego Simeone's side. So that section is going to go down to the wire. The snow is falling now in Kiev. Real Madrid have a corner. What's the referee doing about the challenge, though, Mike Sewell?
Well, we haven't had confirmation that there's any kind of VAR check. Clearly, the video assistant referee does look at everything, but whether there's a prolonged look at it remains to be seen. Dentinho is still down. Looking at the challenge again, he did catch him around the ankle, didn't he? But I'm not sure there was any intent there, and it wasn't a full force challenge.
Yeah, anything in this type of weather is going to be very, very, very sore, especially in and around that ankle bone area. So hopefully he's going to be okay to continue.
In the meantime, Real Madrid take a corner from Kroos, headed away by Shakhtar. Dentinho wants to come back on. He's had the magic spray, and there he is back on the field as Mondi plays it to the left, edge of the Shakhtar area, played in first time by Asensio. Good block by Matvienko, who's actually over on the far side defending at the moment. Real Madrid come forward again. Modric lifts it back out to Asensio on the left. The snow is getting heavier. Mondi towards the corner flag and clipped down the line. By this point in Madrid, Shakhtar were 3-0 up, but they're in danger of falling behind, with Real Madrid constantly pressing as Benzema takes it first time. That's such a difficult technique to execute. The ball coming at you as you're facing at right angles to the goal, and then you've got to get it just right, haven't you? You've
got to be able to get the angles right, open your hips up and get over the ball, and obviously there's pressure coming there from the defender as well. A little bit of perceived pressure to sort of put Benzema off. So good defending and a great effort if that had gone in.
The round spotlights, which the trim at the top of the stadium, are just puncturing through the snowy skies above Kiev as we approach half-time. Just under 90 seconds left, but there'll be plenty of stoppage time, especially after Dentinho went down, as Rodrigo's attempted reverse ball is just away from Benzema. Still appreciated by the Frenchman, nonetheless. Dodot into the Real Madrid half over on the far side. Marlos put under pressure by Kroos. Shakhtar going all the way back from the halfway line to their goalkeeper Trubin. Stepanenko out to the far side. Down the line it goes, but it immediately breaks down, and they just don't seem to have many ideas, Shakhtar.
Really struggling on the to find an outlet, aren't they? You know, they seem to keep the ball for 2 or 3 passes, and then it's really difficult for them to break any lines in terms of Real Madrid's you know, out of possession positioning. So might be something to look at half-time for the coaching staff.
In the meantime, Real Madrid coming forward again. Rodrigo into the area, cleared away by Vitao for a 6th Real Madrid corner of this first half. I bet Zidane is glad he put the beanie on now, given that the snow is much heavier than at the start of the game. Courtois is rotating his arms to keep warm at the other end. Kroos takes the corner, in it goes Benzema, gets his forehead on it, but there's a foul by a Real Madrid player, and it's going to be a free kick. We've got 3 minutes of added time. I thought there might be more than that, but 3 additional minutes at the end of the first half, where it remains 0-0. Looked like, well, Benzema was holding the arm of Stepanenko, and Stepanenko was holding the shirt of Benzema. Benzema was the one penalised, and the free kick is about to be taken. Food for thought for Luis Castro at half-time, Tanya.
Yeah, I think it might be. It's probably difficult. Obviously, you've lost one of your most important players in the first sort of part of the game, and they don't seem to have really adjusted in terms of an outlet moving forward, and something for him to have a think about at half-time and hopefully address, because you know, if they're going to cause problems going the other way, they're going to have a look at that.
Here come Real Madrid. Last couple of minutes of added time. Mondi out to Benzema, complete with a strapped right wrist. Infield to Odegaard. Mondi then lifts it into centre field to find Varane, and from the centre circle Varane plays it down the near side, the Real Madrid right, forward to Modric, back heeled by the Croatian, inviting the run of Lucas Vazquez at the corner flag. It's gone out of play, and it's another corner. Corner number 7. There's a bit of a dispute between Vazquez and Tyson as to who it went off, but the assistant referee was right there in front of them.
I think as a defender you're always going to try and claim that it's either a throw-in or it's your ball, aren't you, and not a corner. So definitely look like a corner, and right decision.
And Kroos again to take. This time it's a low ball to the edge of the area. Odegaard side foots it towards goal. I don't know quite what the intention was from Martin Odegaard, but it's straight through to Trubin. And we're into the final minute of added time with the score still goalless. Matvienko, who's switched to right back, started the game at left back. Now it's with Kroos. Varane forward to Asensio. And now Nacho, Real Madrid, just struggling to get forward at the moment. Kroos, left-footed, over the top, looking for Mondi's run. First-time ball, just too far ahead of Benzema. But the idea was good. Trubin spotted it quickly. Now Stepanenko for Shakhtar, closing seconds of the half. Out to this left side, and the 3 minutes are up. Referee Hattigan blows it, and there'll be a sense of relief from the home team and their coach Luis Castro after that first half. They needed their goalkeeper Anatoly Trubin, the 19-year-old, to make a couple of important saves, one from Benzema, one from Asensio. Asensio also hit the post. Shakhtar lost one of their key players in Junior Moraes to a dead leg in that first half. Frustration on the part of Real Madrid, you might think, given that it's still Shakhtar Donetsk 0, Real Madrid 0 at half-time.
You're listening to UEFA Champions League Matchday Live.
Three Frenchmen in deep discussion as they walk back down the tunnel. There's Zinedine Zidane along with two of his players, Karim Benzema and Ferland Mondi. The last time Real Madrid were on this pitch, they had just lifted the Champions League and it was about 30 degrees. It's about minus 30 degrees this evening out there. The snow continues to fall. Your commentary team, Mike Sewell and Tanya Oxtoby, watching that one. A win puts them through, but Tanya, if Real Madrid thought this was going to be comfortable, given Shakhtar's last two results against Gladbach, they've come up against a fairly stubborn opposition, and we don't always say that. Shakhtar often play this lovely attacking brand of football. Tonight they seem to want to try and stop Real Madrid playing.
Very, very compact. You know, no space between the lines. Not necessarily looking to go and press aggressively when Real are building. Quite happy to be patient and sit behind the ball. If I'm the Real Madrid manager now, I'm sort of saying, you know, our transitions probably need to be a little bit quicker. We need to try and catch them before they're organised. They're playing a very high line as well, so a little bit more movement in behind and trying to exploit that space in behind. And they've also had a lot of success, Real, when they've switched the ball quickly with the long diag. So they're probably some of the things that Zidane might be thinking about, you know, focusing on at half-time. But yeah, Shakhtar have been really resolute in defence. Probably one of the areas that they would like to address is how they're then going to counter to go forward and be effective.
I was going to say, how easy is that to do, Tanya? Because the last two games in the Champions League, they lost an aggregate score of 10-0 to Inter. So how difficult is it as a coach to get that balance of, we want to be a threat going forward, but also we know we've just been walloped twice and we're playing against Benzema and Rodrigo and Modric and Kroos? That's not easy, is it?
It's like a Bristol game, pretty much. So yeah, no, look, it's difficult because you don't, you know, you want to be a threat going forward and you want to, you know, create chances, but at the same time you don't want to leave yourself open. What I would say is at the moment, like I said, Real on that transition are not kind of going really, really quickly. So Shakhtar could probably afford to send one or two more players forward to support the attack. Obviously, if Real start to break a little bit more quickly and put a little bit more pressure on when they win the ball back in that transition moment, then that might be something Shakhtar might need to look at.
Mike, Real Madrid always have to go out to try and win every match. They had a disappointing defeat again in La Liga at the weekend. Given they need, well, given a point is an okay result, of course they'd love to go through tonight by winning the game, which is what would happen. How do you think they'll, if this remains at 0-0 60-70 minutes in, how do you think Real Madrid might look at it?
I don't think they're certainly not going to settle for this, because you have to remember they've got to play Borussia Mönchengladbach on match day 6, and the last thing they want to do is have to possibly win that game. I suppose if they draw tonight, a draw may well be enough against Gladbach. But my thought is, how does Shakhtar solve a problem like Kroos and Modric? Because even though Real Madrid have not found the net, Kroos and Modric are running the show in the midfield, aren't they?
Which is something that we saw massively during those 3 straight Champions Leagues. But some of the criticism has been, Tanya, of the Real Madrid midfield, is that maybe those players are coming to the end of their careers. Along with Odegaard tonight, who maybe is that fresh legs alongside Kroos and Modric, it's been like watching them 3 or 4 years ago again.
Yeah, and in games like this, the experience is what you want, because there's not a lot of room to move in there. And for me, everything that has been really positive and creative has come through Modric getting on the ball in those tight pockets where actually there's not really a lot of space, but he's finding some. If they can get the ball, a little bit more regularly and penetrate centrally between the lines, Shakhtar are going to have to close up a little bit more, and then that will open the space up in the wide areas. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the approach is from Real Madrid for the second half. If they're looking to exploit what in wide areas quicker, or if actually they're going to look to try and penetrate centrally a little bit more to draw Shakhtar in and to then go wide. It'll be a very interesting tactical battle.
It will. Tanya, Mike, plenty more from you shortly. Kick-off in the second half now, about 11 minutes away. 0-0. The other early match has Salzburg in control. 2 goals from Megan Berisha has them 2-0 up against Lokomotiv Moscow. Neither side can go through tonight. This would put Salzburg ahead of Lokomotiv going into match day 6, and the Austrian side play against Atletico, who are currently just a point ahead of them in the live Group A table. Atletico host Bayern later on, which is one of our featured games. We'll hear from Jackie Oatley shortly, who is going to be watching that one for UEFA Champions League match day live. We'll have the goals as they go in from there, plus Mönchengladbach against Inter, Marseille Olympiacos, Porto Manchester City, and Atalanta against Midtjylland. But our main commentary base with Stephen Wyeth and Kevin Hatchard is going to be Anfield. Liverpool against Ajax, 2 of the competition's most successful sides historically, and this season, Stephen, in a really fascinating section. This is an enormous game for both clubs.
Indeed it is. I saw something, Chris, a little bit earlier. Statistically, apparently, Liverpool have a 99.3% chance of progressing from Group D.
Really?
But it doesn't seem as foregone a conclusion to that from a quick look at the table. And it certainly doesn't feel that way, considering the situation that Liverpool currently find themselves in. That defeat at home to Atalanta on the last match day has given both the Italians and Ajax hope of progressing. Liverpool lead the way with 9 points. Ajax and Atalanta just behind them on 7 points. So if the Dutch side were to win this evening, well, that would certainly make things very interesting going into match day 6. Now, of course, the situation that Liverpool find themselves in, that I alluded to, is their current injury problems. Jurgen Klopp claiming he doesn't have enough players to prioritise team selection. He's just got to deal with what he's got. On Saturday, our fittest players played. He's without the likes of Van Dijk, Thiago, Joe Gomez, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Keita and Shaqiri, but he does make 5 changes this evening. Perhaps most interestingly, in goal, Koivin Kelleher, the 22-year-old Irishman, makes his first appearance in European club football in place of Alisson. Joel Matip returns to their defence. Jordan Henderson is fit enough to replace the now injured James Milner. In comes Curtis Jones and also Sadio Mane, so we expect it to be Kelleher in goal, a back 4 of Williams, Fabinho, Matip and Robertson, Henderson, Wijnaldum and Jones in midfield, with that front 3 of Salah, Mane and Diogo Jota. Ajax's situation very different. They are pretty much at full strength, and they have been able to rotate to strengthen. They were able to rest players at the weekend, and they bring David Neres, Edson Alvarez, Nicolas Tagliafico and Daley Blind back in this evening. That's their 4 changes. So Onana in goal, Mazraoui, Schürrle, Blind and Tagliafico the back 4, Alvarez, Klaassen and Neres in midfield, Antony and Tadic in support of Lassina Traore up front.
Very interesting. 11 games unbeaten in the Champions League away from home are Ajax, including in that run. They have not lost when they've gone to the likes of Chelsea, Bayern, Juventus and Real Madrid. Can they cause another upset tonight to really blow Group D open? Liverpool through if they avoid defeat. Liverpool will be confirmed as group winners if they beat Ajax, and Atalanta don't win. Can't wait for that one, Stephen. Thank you. Kick-off an hour and 8 minutes away at Anfield, and we can hear from the Reds boss Jurgen Klopp now ahead of this one. He's been speaking about the quality of his younger players amidst that dreadful spate of injuries that Stephen just talked about there, and he began by discussing how tough a test he expects against Ajax tonight.
Ajax Amsterdam is a really good side, and since our game flying pretty much through the league, big results, clear top of the table, very talented, some players coming back, these kind of things. Yes, I expect a close game. Look, I mean, if somebody is a Liverpool youth or academy player in general, he has already for sure a lot of talent. For sure, otherwise you can't make the cut. When you then go through all these difficult moments in your youth academy career, we go through, then you are already used to some difficult situation and some pressure. But then when you come up and you make the final step and you have to play in a competitive game for the first team, that's a different animal. And I think the boys adapted really well.
Jurgen Klopp there speaking about his club's youngsters who again play tonight, including Kelleher in goal, Williams and Jones. Ajax have a pretty good history themselves of bringing players through their academy as well. This one is going to be a fantastic listen with Stephen Wyeth and Kevin Hatchard will be your commentary team. Jackie Oatley watching another of today's big late matches between Atletico and Bayern. Jackie, evening. Bayern already through. They've topped the section. They've rested some players for this trip, and the onus really is on Atletico, you would think, to go and get what for them would be a very, very important victory.
Oh, very much so, yes. Bayern clearly already through, won the group, 4 wins out of 4, no problem there. Atletico Madrid really have some work to do. Just 5 points for them from their 4 matches, just a one narrow victory against Salzburg. They could go through tonight, but they need to beat Bayern and hope that Lokomotiv fail to beat Salzburg, which is all happening very nicely, thank you, because Salzburg are 2-0 up. Atleti thumped 4-0 in October in Munich, a famous victory in that situation. But they've only conceded 4 goals in 8 games since then, none in the last 4. So they're going pretty well defensively since that defeat in Munich. The Bayern boss, as you suggested there, has taken the opportunity to leave some of his key players at home because he frankly doesn't need them tonight. Manuel Neuer, the goalkeeper, Goretzka, Lewandowski haven't travelled. Tolisso not playing. Kimmich is injured. So we have Alexander Nubel, the former Schalke goalkeeper, starting in goal, making his Champions League debut. He had played in the Cup for them, but just the one match. And very interestingly, 17-year-old Germany under-17s defender Bright Aryan B makes his debut at centre-half. He's a former Chelsea youth player, and he made his professional debut for Bayern's second team in September. But this is a big, big game for him, so a real show of faith from Hansi Flick in him. But they have the likes of Zula starting, Sarr playing at right back, Hernandez as well playing at Sane. Musiala, a 17-year-old who I saw recently make his full debut for the England under-21s at Molineux. He scored a great goal, and really I loved watching him that night. Some of his touches were absolutely sublime. Really talented young player. Douglas Costa starts and Choupo-Moting up front as well. As for Atletico Madrid, massive game for them. They're without Suarez and Costa, but the likes of Carrasco does start playing what we think is a back 4 with Savic and Jimenez, as you'd expect, at centre-half, Hermoso at left-back, Trippier at right-back, Llorente, Saul Niguez, Koke and Carrasco starting with Correa and the richly talented youngster Joao Felix. So the onus very much on Atletico tonight.
Certainly is. Goals as they go in from Jackie Oatley through the evening, plus updates as well on all the late games. Gladbach playing Inter, Marseille, Olympiacos, Porto, Manchester City and Atalanta Mönchengladbach can go through in their game. That's going to be one certainly to keep an eye on from Germany. We're on air with you until 11:30 p.m. CET. Keep your messages coming in, telling us where in the world you are listening from. We've had Jim saying he's listening all the way from Kenya tonight, and get involved in our social media topic using the hashtag MatchDayLive. The last time Ajax played at Anfield, Johan Cruyff was the hero. It's amazing to think that, given these two clubs' history in the UEFA Champions League and before that the European Cup. So we're asking tonight, who is your club's greatest player and why? Jackie and Stephen are still with me. I'll start with you, Jackie. Who's your club's greatest footballer and why, please?
Oh, well, being as I'm from Wolverhampton, you might expect me to say Billy Wright, and of course he was a great player, bearing in mind he was the first international captain to 100 caps in the entire world. But unfortunately I didn't get to see him play, or rather fortunately, otherwise I might not be with you tonight. Not that old. But Stevie Bull was my absolute hero growing up, I don't mind admitting to you. He scored 306 goals for Wolves, and they went all the way down to the 4th tier, and he scored 52 goals to help them get promoted from there, and then another 50 goals the following season. And as they came out of the 3rd tier, he got called up for England under Bobby Robson and scored on his England debut while still in the 3rd division.
Steve Bull, absolute legend in that part of England. Stephen Wyeth, who would yours be?
I'm going to pick somebody who is equally as well, if not even more highly revered around about the club where he did his business, not too long after, a little bit more contemporaneous than Steve Bull, but not much more. A one-club player who I think single-handedly had as strong an influence as any one player has had on any one club in terms of his ability to single-handedly keep them in the top flight season after season, and that player is the former Southampton player Matthew Le Tissier.
As soon as you said that, I thought it was going to be he, a Premier League legend, an English Premier League legend. Keep your suggestions coming in. At Jamaica Equation says Scholes and is a Manchester United fan. Aladdin says Sir Bobby Charlton, presumably they are a Manchester United fan as well. And Gerald Ngao, also a United fan, says the Portuguese Magnifico Bruno Fernandes is the greatest. Already, he's only been at the club less than a year, but he has made some impact. Keep your suggestions coming in for your club's greatest player and why. It's all because the last time Ajax played away at Liverpool, the great Johan Cruyff was one of their match winners as they knocked Liverpool out back in 1966. Full match commentary of the 2020 version of that game coming up in about an hour's time, and the goals as they go in from the other 5 late matches. But we are almost ready to be back underway between Shakhtar and Real Madrid. One of the 2 early games. In the other early kick-off, Salzburg are 2-0 up at Lokomotiv. But your commentary team for the second half of this huge game in Group B is the Bristol City women's manager and England coach Tanya Oxtoby and Mike Sewell.
Just underway, just a few seconds in. No changes made by either Luis Castro or Zinedine Zidane at the start of the second half. Just that one change made in the first half, forced upon Castro due to the injury to Junior Moraes. Dentinho, therefore the only change from the starting 11s. Shakhtar have Trubin in goal, then it's Dodot, Vitao, Bondar and Matvienko at the back. Stepanenko and Kovalenko, the more defensive of the midfielders, with Tyson, Marlos and Tete in support of Dentinho. Real Madrid, they've got Courtois in goal, Lucas Vazquez, Varane, Nacho and Mondi across the back. Modric, Kroos and Odegaard in midfield. Rodrigo and Asensio providing the support down the flanks for Karim Benzema. And it's Real Madrid who have the ball now inside the Shakhtar half with their captain, the Frenchman. Benzema shrugs off his opposite number, Dentinho. And it goes back to Varane. Real Madrid in all whites. Shakhtar in their 2-tone orange shirts, black shorts and orange socks. Real Madrid, who are on the ball now, are attacking the goal away to the left in the second half. They had several chances during the first. Anatoly Trubin, the Shakhtar goalkeeper, kept them out a couple of times. The woodwork saved them as well from Asensio. Shakhtar didn't have a single shot on target or a single corner in the first half. Varane, who's on a yellow card after his foul on Moraes, the one which led to Moraes' departure. Zinedine Zidane still wearing the beanie, Chris.
Don't blame him. 0-0 it remains there. It's still 2-0 to Salzburg. They've come close in the early stages of the second half as well to getting a third. An excellent effort from Sekou Koita just wide. Lokomotiv made a triple change at the break, including bringing on Anton Miranchuk.
Shakhtar coming forward here, left edge of the area, ball played in. Matvienko with the cross, and having just said they hadn't had a corner in the game, they've won their first corner of the match after Vazquez steers it out. And that was a really promising charge forward, Tanya.
Really quick transition there, you know, and drove at the Real Madrid back four, looking to get the cross into the box, and well cut out in the end. So first corner of the match for Shakhtar.
Just a few minutes into the second half, Marlos has gone across to the far side to take it. Plenty of orange shirts to aim at in the middle, but he's got an option short, which he takes. It's immediately thrust in. Stepanenko was trying to get up there, but he couldn't get the header away. And now Real Madrid will try and turn things around and get forward themselves. But as has so often been said, and you said it several times in the first half, Tanya, Shakhtar are really good at getting back and getting into positions, which you as a coach would love.
Yeah, great discipline from them. You can see they're not interested in pressing necessarily higher up the pitch. Their intent is to get themselves back into shape as quickly as possible. They all know their roles and responsibilities, and they're back in, and they're on the counter again here now. 4
against 4. Down the left to Tyson. Tete is to his left. Tyson cuts inside, but Kroos stretches out his right leg and pokes the ball away from him. Quite a bright start to the second half, particularly by Shakhtar, who didn't really offer much going forward before half-time. Varane across his defence to Nacho. Real Madrid now have possession inside the Shakhtar half on this near side, the left. Asensio plays the cross in early. It's too deep for Benzema, but it'll be kept in on the far side by Rodrigo. Now Odegaard gets the ball stuck under his feet. But Madrid will come back again down that far side with Martin Odegaard. Infield to Modric, heading towards the angle of the penalty area, Luka Modric. The first step over full Dentinho, not the second one. And the ball's gone out for a Shakhtar throw-in.
Just watching Zidane's body language there, he's encouraging his players. He wants them to come down this left-hand side for Real Madrid and exploit the space in behind the Shakhtar fullback. So that might be something that they've discussed, obviously, at half-time, an area they think they can exploit.
Lifted away by Stepanenko, back towards the Shakhtar area, though. Down goes Odegaard. Referee is waiting to see if there's an advantage, and there is. Here's Benzema on the D. Left foot shot from Benzema, but he couldn't really get enough angle or power behind it to trouble Trubin, and it's into the arms of the young goalkeeper. 5 minutes into the second half, still Shakhtar 0, Real Madrid 0 in Group B of the UEFA Champions League. Match day 5. 2 things could happen tonight, and they will happen if Real Madrid win this game. They will progress to the knockout stages, and Shakhtar will not be able to follow them. But as it is, it's a draw, and if it stays this way, it'll go to match day 6, at least for them. Maybe not Borussia Mönchengladbach, who face Inter in about an hour's time. Rodrigo, lovely touch from him to go around the outside of his man, deep inside the Shakhtar half. Back down the right, the far side as we look. Vasquez into Odegaard. Immediately swamped by orange shirts as it's played infield to Kroos. He and Modric so calm on the ball, as you might imagine. Both very experienced midfielders at the highest level. Now it's out to the left. Furlong Mondi running across the area, still going to the D. Plays it to Odegaard, out to the right now. Lovely flick forward by Rodrigo. Benzema then checks one way, then the other, clips in the cross, and it's headed over by Nacho. Really well worked move there. Mondi initially, and then Vasquez and Benzema before the Frenchman's cross was headed over by Nacho.
Not a lot of room to work there, but some great sort of 1-2 touch football to break open the Shakhtar defence, and a great cross into the back post, and he'll probably be a little bit disappointed he hasn't made the keeper make a save out of that one.
Just jumped a little early, didn't he, Nacho?
Yeah, difficult chance.
Over the crossbar it went, but received applause from his coach. Nevertheless, Real Madrid threatening again to break the deadlock. Goal kick headed on by Stepanenko. Shakhtar attacking the goal away to the right. Tyson gets the touch away from Lucas Vasquez. Powers towards the penalty area. Into the box, gets the shot away. And for the first time in the game, Thibaut Courtois is called into action to make a really important save from Tyson, who thought he'd scored.
He's been so bright in the first sort of 5 minutes of this second half, Tyson, causing some real problems going forward on the counter, and really good save from Courtois there.
Luis Castro certainly got into his team at half-time, and they've come out a different side in an attacking sense, that is. In fact, the game is flowing quite nicely from one end to the other. Shakhtar still attacking. Tete under pressure from Rodrigo, gets the better of him. It's out on the left now. Kovalenko for Marlos. His options in the middle are limited, so he goes back down the line to Matvienko, and then it's further back towards Tyson. Over the top, Kovalenko to the dead ball line, and damage limitation from him. He actually ends up winning the throw-in off Lucas Vázquez. But this is a much brighter attacking performance from Shakhtar Donetsk, who, if you remember, led 3-0 at half-time in the reverse fixture on match day 1 before eventually winning 3-2. But they're still very much in this game, even though it's taken them until the second half to cause Real Madrid problems at the other end. They're almost doing what Real Madrid did in the first half, and that's press really high up the pitch.
Yeah, you just wonder if maybe one of the tactical kind of part of the game plan was to sit in for the first half, just absorb a little bit of pressure, and then come out in the second and really express themselves a little bit more and be a little bit more aggressive. And like you say, they're in that final third, when they're losing the ball, they are pressing high now, which they weren't doing in the first half.
Vázquez down the line, that's the far side as we look. Modric collects just outside the area. Infield to Odegaard. Now it's with Varane and Kroos, who stayed deep just on the edge of the centre circle inside the Shakhtar half. Nacho, they've switched play to the left here, but it's gone out. It's crossed the line, and it's a throw-in to Shakhtar. As it stands, if the score was to stay this way, Real Madrid would have 8 points. That's the same number as Borussia Mönchengladbach, although having played a game more. Shakhtar will be up to 5, and then Inter just on 2. But that Borussia Mönchengladbach Inter game is on the way in the next hour. Be very interesting if Inter were to win that game and this one did stay as a draw, or even Shakhtar won it. Make it incredibly tight going into match day 6. 10 minutes of the second half played. Still, we await a goal in Kiev, a snowy Kiev. Cross to the far side for Rafael Varane, who looks up and then right-footed sweeps it long towards the left edge of the area. And knowing that Asensio is behind him, Dodot nods it out of play for a Real Madrid corner. It's their first one of the second half, having had 7 in the first. Plenty of movement on the bench, as you might imagine. A lot of warming up on a night like tonight. It's just below 0 in Ukraine.
You'd be happy to stay out there warming up all the time, wouldn't you, with the weather the way it is?
Odegaard to take the corner. Outswinger from the left. Lands near the penalty spot. Kroos tries to play it back in, and now Shakhtar are on the counter-attack here. Plenty of home players going forward. Look at this, it's 4 against 3 here. Marlos. They've lost the momentum though. Real Madrid backtracking into position. Kovalenko just outside the area, tried to play it straight to Marlos. Real Madrid have not dealt with it, and Dentinho has popped up to punish them. 11 minutes into the second half, and Shakhtar Donetsk take the lead, and it's their substitute, who only came on for the injured Junior Moraes, who has struck the opening goal. Shakhtar 1, Real Madrid 0.
We spoke about at half-time, you know, what Shakhtar needed to do to make sure that they were going to be effective going forward, and my word, they've been brilliant at the start of this second half, transitioning really quickly, getting numbers forward, anticipating here, wants it more than anybody else, and a great finish.
The problem was that the ball that was played in by Kovalenko to the edge of the area was side-footed by Mondi. He thought he was playing it to Varane, but he played it right behind Varane, who couldn't adjust his feet, and all it did was invite Dentinho, who was still running, to just slot it beyond Courtois. An unlikely goal scorer and an unlikely scoreline as well. 1-0 Shakhtar lead.
And maybe a very unlikely double for Shakhtar over Real Madrid in this season's group stage. Kicking off in 50 minutes in this section, Borussia Mönchengladbach against Inter. Gladbach will go through if they win. or if they draw and Shakhtar don't beat Real Madrid. But the Ukrainian side have just taken the lead. Team news: Marco Rosa names 3 big players back in his 11 after he rested Leinert, Kramer and Stindl at the weekend. Everything as expected for Inter. Brozovic returns in midfield. Darmian and Young are preferred to Hakimi and Perisic on the flanks. And Lukaku returns in attack after he was rested in the weekend win against Sassuolo. But Mike Schull, this section, thanks to that goal, blown wide open once again.
Attempted fate, didn't I? Only a minute or so earlier I read out the table, and now this is how it looks. Obviously Mönchengladbach and Inter have the game in hand, but Borussia Mönchengladbach 8 points, Shakhtar 7, Real Madrid 7, Inter 2. If it stayed like this and Inter won, well, what a match day 6 we're going to have.
Yes.
But
calculators out.
There's always a but when you've got Real Madrid on the ball and they have a free kick deep inside the Shakhtar half. It's about 3 or 4 metres outside the penalty area. Benzema's orchestrating his teammates inside the box. Shakhtar have 2 in the wall. The angle is quite acute, but you never know. Toni Kroos could go for goal himself to the near post here. Here he is, steps forward. He drops it into the penalty area, flicked on by Varane, but there was no power and no real deviation on the ball either. Straight into the arms of Trubin, Tanya.
Great ball in there, and probably just a little bit behind the Real Madrid player that was looking to head. I can't say who it was, unfortunately, but yeah, just probably a little bit more pace on that, and that was going to be going to cause the goalkeeper all sorts of problems. It was very difficult to generate some pace and power when it's played a little bit behind you, but it was a great ball into a great area.
Well, it looks like Dentinho is struggling again. Oh, I think he got a boot or a knee in the head, not intentional, but it's Varane again who was involved, and Dentinho is writhing around on the floor in pain. So play stop momentarily.
Yeah, it's not about being a Shakhtar Donetsk centre-forward tonight, given how many injuries they've picked up. Team news from Group C. Porto against Manchester City. Porto go 3 at the back again, as they did in Manchester on match day 1. Diogo Leite is called up to play next to Sarr and Mbemba. Diaz left on the bench. Pep Guardiola has made 7 changes from a 5-0 win in the English Premier League on Saturday over Burnley. The big news, Fernandinho is back. Starts a game for the first time since September. No Kevin De Bruyne, who gets a break. City already through. Porto can join them tonight in that section. They'll go through if they avoid defeat or if Olympiacos don't win. Olympiacos are at Marseille. Andre Villas-Boas has made 4 changes to the side that were disappointing last week in the Champions League. Kalatakar comes in at centre-back. Payet, Benedetto and Cuisance also come in for Olympiacos. Jose Jolibas has recovered from his injury and is back in UEFA Champions League action tonight. It means that Rafinha can return to his usual place at right back. And I'll give you the team news from Atalanta Midtjylland, so you're fully up to date in the next break of play. But Mike Sewell and Tanya Oxtoby, 30 big minutes for Real Madrid and also for Shakhtar Donetsk.
Yes, just over an hour played. Dentinho is back on the field. They did win a free kick, but there was no card at all. Certainly looked unintentional from Rafael Varane as Lucas Vázquez goes down and wins a free kick for Real Madrid. But it's looking quite tasty in Group B in the UEFA Champions League at the moment, if it stays this way. But Real Madrid will do their utmost to make sure it doesn't. And they played pretty well until the second half, when Shakhtar got their attacking game together. Modric has it on the halfway line towards the far side. He's looking for an early ball through to Odegaard. In goes Matvienko to cut it out, and then Tyson's on the run. He's so strong, he's so powerful, is Tyson. Into Kovalenko, midway inside the Real Madrid half. Square to Marlos, now Stepanenko. Good work by the Real Madrid players just to force Shakhtar back. Zidane is cutting a more demonstrative figure on the touchline now, having watched his side go behind. But Shakhtar are having to defend here eventually. Asensio wins it off Dodo, no foul, edge of the area on the left. Asensio crosses in, cleared away by Vitao, only as far as Kroos to the D. Odegaard leaves it. Modric then turns, waits for an option, has to go back to Varane. And now Nacho. Shakhtar have organised themselves. Vázquez, long sweeping ball to this near side for Asensio. He tries to cross first time, will get a second bite at it. Steps away from Tete, then plays it into the box along the floor. Rodrigo keeps his feet from the left, crosses. Here's Mondi, chance to shoot. Well, I say that loosely. The shot was badly pulled by Ferland Mondi, and it goes all the way out for a throw-in on the far side.
Real Madrid are getting a lot of success down this their left-hand side with that diagonal ball, and you know, you just wonder how long it's going to be until they break their goal drought here, because if they can continue to find that space down the left-hand side and get good delivery into the box, it's going to cause Shakhtar some problems.
Well, they won well against Inter, home and away, but they're trailing here in Kiev with just over a quarter of the game remaining. Dentinho's strike after 57 minutes is the difference. Modric out wide on the right for Real Madrid, who are midway inside the Shakhtar half. Odegaard square to Nacho, who's moving forward down centre field now. Patient stuff from Real Madrid. Kroos out wide to the right. Modric outside of the boot, lovely ball, crossed in first time by Lucas Vazquez, and now Tyson picks up the ball that was cut out. Shakhtar looking so much more decisive going forward, more dynamic from the right now, just outside the Real Madrid area. Dodó, short to Marlos. Stepanenko then goes across. They've switched play to the left now. Tyson down the left flank. Matviyenko thought about a cross, but then checks back down the line to Tyson, and cuts his crossfield ball into the feet of Marlos. Shakhtar having to be patient now, and they're being forced back into the left back position. Vitao, good ball down the line, first time into the feet of Tyson from Matviyenko. Tyson then heads towards the penalty area. The goal scorer Dentinho lays it off, and now Marlos, centre field, 30 metres out, wants to go towards his left, and then Stepanenko pushed it out there. Not much yardage being made here by Shakhtar, but they're in control of the ball. That's the most important thing, and it will frustrate Real Madrid. 20 minutes played in the second half, and it's still 1-0 to Shakhtar.
Final bit of team news in the later games. Atalanta against Midtjylland in the same section as Ajax and Liverpool. Our main commentary base in 40 minutes time. Atalanta have gone for it, of course they have. Gianpiero Gasperini has picked Luis Muriel up front to partner Duvan Zapata. Midtjylland are already out. They've given youngsters Daniel Ho and Manreka James their chance to shine in this competition. 25 minutes to go in Kiev. Mike Schewel and Tanya Oxtoby, your commentary team. What an enormous period coming up for these two clubs and in this section. Later on, of course, Gladbach play against Inter, and the German side can go through. I'm sure fans of those two clubs will be eagerly listening on. This is going to be a fascinating section as things stand.
Vazquez for Real Madrid. Early ball up towards Benzema, just outside the Shakhtar area, but the Frenchman was in an offside position. It's just sense here, Tanya, that Real Madrid are just getting a little bit frustrated now. It was frustrating for them that they didn't score in the first half, but they just aren't been able to make a breakthrough here despite all that possession that they've had.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we obviously spoke about at half-time was Shakhtar's ability to cause problems going the other way, which would then, you know, affect Real Madrid's ability to commit as many numbers forward as what they have. And Shakhtar have broken again now. They're again in the final third, building play now.
From the right, Dentinho into Tete. He's got away from his man all the way to the dead ball line. Cuts it back. Kovalenko has it blocked by Varane in desperation. What an opportunity for Viktor Kovalenko. And a grimace on the face of Luis Castro, because that could have easily been 2-0.
Some great feet there to break free and get a cutback cross into the box, and well blocked in the end.
Kovalenko's shot, he didn't actually hit it that cleanly, but Varane got in the way, and Shakhtar come forward again. Marlos on this near side is onside. Shakhtar threatening a second goal here. This would really open things up if they were to score again and force Real Madrid's hand. got the likes of Isco, Vinicius Junior, Casemiro, Marcelo on the bench, the experienced players. But it's a goal they need. Kroos in the centre circle. Down the right it goes to Odegaard. Further down the line, or the intention was to find Rodrigo, but it's cut out again. They've done a good job of cutting out that supply this half of Shakhtar. Tyson uses his body to get the ball forward. Matviyenko onto Tete, who gets the shot in. It's deflected, and Courtois scrambles to the ground to stop it going out for a corner. Well, the complexion of the game has completely changed from the first half.
Everything positive that that Shakhtar are doing is going through Tyson at the moment. As soon as he picks the ball up, he's driving at the Real Madrid back four, causing problems. And the other thing that might be frustrating Real Madrid a little bit is when they counter quickly and there's nothing on, they're actually retaining the ball, which they weren't doing in the first half either. And you know, they're having to go and press high to try and win it back, which is you know, Real want the ball. They want to try and be creating goal-scoring opportunities, and that's not happening with the same regularity that it was in the first half.
Yeah, really good point that. We've just passed the halfway mark of the second half. Isco looks like he might be readying himself for Real Madrid. He might not be the only one coming on if that's what Zinedine Zidane decides to do. 1-0, Shakhtar lead. Here's Ferland Mendy down this near side, the left, where Benzema's waiting. Three white-shirted players in the middle. Benzema back to the edge of the area. Mondi gets away from one challenge. Still Ferland Mondi, he's tricking his way into the box, but didn't really know what to do with the ball eventually when he got into that good position. And in the end, after Marlos tries to clear, it's deflected off a Real Madrid player. 20 minutes plus stoppage time left. Real Madrid, had they won this game, if they win this game, should I say, not talking the past tense just yet, they would reach the knockout stages and put Shakhtar out of contention. But as it is, this opens up the group, should Shakhtar hang on and win this game. Remember, Borussia Mönchengladbach, Inter to come in Group B. Gladbach currently top, and Inter bottom with only 2 points. Shakhtar actually going to make a change very soon. Looks like Maicon might be coming on. Tete into centre field. Marlos outside of his left boot. Ball curves like an arc towards Matviyenko, who goes on the run. It's into the area. Kovalenko just inside the box, lays it off. Marlos, left angle, shot comes in from Tete. I was just wondering who was going to take a shot then. Any one of three players could have had an effort on goal, and in the end it was Tete who didn't get enough angle to beat Courtois.
Yeah, you were almost waiting for them to pull the trigger 3 times over there, and eventually got the shot away, but quite comfortable in the end for the goalkeeper.
Shakhtar are going to make 2 substitutions at least here at this point in the second half. At least when the ball goes dead they will. Trubin clears to the far side, the Shakhtar left. They're attacking a goal away to the right. They've scored in that goal through Dentinho after 57 minutes, and they still hold that advantage. They're on course to do the double over Real Madrid in this group. Kroos down the right, Rodrigo scampering across to get there, and he does. Near the dead ball line, cleared away by Vitao, swept further clear by Tyson, only as far as Modric to the edge of the area. Modric skips his way into the box. Vasquez crosses from the right, a little bit too deep for Asensio, and Tete can clear for Shakhtar, who look really dangerous on the counter-attack. And again, they're coming forward in numbers. 4 against 4 again. Tyson towards the far side, just slows down the momentum which Shakhtar had. And now it's almost a dawdling pace in centre field with their captain Stepanenko, and eventually back to their defenders.
And this is the change, I think, that's happened in the second half, is you know, they went to counter quickly there, Shakhtar, but actually there was nothing on, and now they've retained, and this is the part that will be frustrating Madrid, because they're going to really struggle to get there and win the ball back, and as the pitch opens up, that will actually create more space for Shakhtar to then look to counter the second time around, which they're doing now.
Until Modric just steps in and just takes the ball off Kovalenko's toes. And Maicon and Manos Solomon are about to come on for Shakhtar. No movement on the Real Madrid bench as yet. Zidane is obviously going to wait to see what Luis Castro is going to do tactically before he makes his change, or changes. The first one will see Marlos come off to be replaced by Maicon, another of the Brazilians, Maicon. I wonder whether they're going to just adjust things in the midfield area. The other change is going to see Tyson, who's looked really dynamic in the second half, come off. He was denied just before the goal by Courtois. And Manos Solomon, who started their last Champions League game, comes onto the field of play.
Can Shakhtar hold on? In the other early match, it is Lokomotiv 0, Salzburg 2. Still those two first-half goals from Mergen Berisha are putting Salzburg right in contention in the same section as Atletico and Bayern. And Salzburg are pretty comfortable. In truth, they're in fact attacking now, maybe looking for a hat-trick. Berisha with an effort from the angle, blocked behind. 2-0 though, Salzburg lead and heading for a big victory. Later on, of course, commentary, Liverpool-Ajax.
Real Madrid trying to get forward again, and it's gone out of play for a corner to the visitors. Kroos has come across to take the corner, taken short to the angle of the penalty area. Mondi shoots towards goal, but it's straight at Anatoly Trubin, who's been very assured in the Shakhtar goal tonight. Mondi trying his luck, but never really had enough power or angle to trouble the goalkeeper. Time is of the essence for Real Madrid. We've got 15 minutes plus stoppage time, and they trail by 1-0. Win, and they would be through to the round of 16. But if it stays this way, it's going to be everything to play for on match day 6. Real Madrid are at home to Borussia Mönchengladbach. Shakhtar are away in Milan to play Inter. Those two clubs play later on. They start off in about half an hour's time. Modric on the halfway line, turning and going infield to Kroos. You could argue that he and Kroos are playing quite deep now compared to what they were in the first half.
They're almost having to go searching for the ball now, aren't they? You know, probably in front of the Shakhtar sort of forward press line, which is probably not ideal. You'd prefer them to get on the ball in those pockets where they were in the first half.
Zidane is about to make his changes. Isco, there's going to be 3 players coming on in actual fact. Isco, Vinicius Junior and Mariano Diaz. Is it Mariano Diaz? Yes. Triple substitution imminent from Real Madrid. Certainly think bringing on Isco and Vinicius Junior will give them a little bit more threat going forward. Isco can create things, Vinicius Junior can get on the end of them. So the first change is going to see Isco replace Martin Odegaard. So pretty much a straight swap in that attacking midfield area. The second change is going to see Karim Benzema come off to be replaced by Mariano Diaz. I think he's not come on as yet. There he is, Mariano Diaz on the pitch in place of the now departed captain. And the other change, Vinicius Junior on for Rodrigo. So the ball is played out to this near side, but we're going to break away for a moment. Chris.
Penalty in Moscow. Lokomotiv are 2-0 down. They have a spot kick. They need to score it to give them a bit of hope against Salzburg. And Anton Miranchuk, who's been suffering from the flu and was a doubt for this game, came on at half-time, is poised in the snow. Here he goes, right-footed, scores. Lokomotiv have hope. They've halved the deficit. Lokomotiv 1, Salzburg 2.
Full on Mendy attacking for Real Madrid away to our left and looking to get an equalising goal in Kiev. We've got 13 minutes of normal time remaining. Real Madrid may have to go all the way to match day 6 to try and make it to the knockout stages. They've never failed to reach the knockout stages in their previous attempts in the UEFA Champions League. They've always made it through. They have a 100% record in the Champions League era when they've been in the group stage. Cleared away by Shakhtar across the halfway line. Tete putting pressure on Mondi. Real Madrid win it back. There's a bit more urgency now on the pitch from the team in white. A triple substitution. Can it pay off? Here's one of those substitutes. Vinicius Junior can't keep possession of the ball. But then Tete tries a back heel deep in his own half, which is not a good idea. Vinicius Junior into the box, but it's dealt with at the back. And now it's going to be cleared down this line by Dodot for Shakhtar. Tanya.
I'd really like to see Real Madrid move the ball a little bit quicker. Their shape isn't bad, and they are creating pockets of space and with their width, but they're not moving the ball quick enough. But they're having a little bit of success down this left-hand side as the ball goes into the box now.
From Mondi, headed to the edge of the area. Modric powers it back in, but the ball is blocked by Shakhtar, who've been very resolute in defence tonight. And it looks like it might be paying off if they can hold out for another 10 to 15 minutes. But Real Madrid, no doubt, will be applying the pressure as much as possible. That's not a good ball from Asensio, picked up by Tete in centre field, but he's lost it just outside the area now. Asensio shoots towards goal, takes a deflection out for another Real Madrid corner, and this is what Zidane wanted. And you just wonder whether Shakhtar are going to be penned back for the next 10 minutes in an effort to hold on. Corner to be taken by Toni Kroos. In it goes, right into the heart of the penalty area. Isco went up with his flying feet to reach it, right in front of Stepanenko's head. So a free kick to Shakhtar.
Lokomotiv did not have hope for long, because Salzburg have a third and are in cruise control now. And the man doing the bat flips to celebrate his goal is Ademi here. A lovely counter-attack, and you thought he was going to cross, but he didn't. He took on the defender, the substitute, and he's whacked it into the back of the net. Salzburg 3-1 up. Wow, this section is very, very interesting behind Atletico and Bayern, who play later on tonight.
Still 1-0 Shakhtar lead with 10 minutes of the 90 remaining. They're currently on 7 points, the same number of points as Real Madrid, with one game to come for each team. But can Real Madrid at least get a point out of this game? A win would take them through to the knockout stages. They have it wide on their right. That's the far side as we look, with Lucas Vazquez into Isco. First time ball. I think Asensio was his intended target, but it did not come off. Real Madrid have had 14 total attempts, not all of them on target, but they have had some really good opportunities. Trubin has made a couple of important saves. They've hit the post. But for all their possession in the attacking third, Real Madrid should have scored. But that's credit to Shakhtar defending really well. The ball has trickled out for a throw-in over on the far side to Shakhtar Donetsk, who are going to make another substitution very shortly. In the meantime, Modric gets away from one challenge, moves it to this near side, the Real Madrid left. Mondi goes out to the left again, finds Vinicius Junior. Vinicius, left foot to the dead ball line, crosses with his right boot, cleared away by Kovalenko. One back by Shakhtar. They've got to hold it here. This is where Real Madrid like to press, but the gaps will open up at the back for Shakhtar on the counter. And here we have it. Forward they come. Manor Solomon down the left side, just outside the area. Plenty of options. Goes alone and scores. What an introduction by Manor Solomon. He scored in the reverse fixture, and he scored again, and he may well have put this game to bed. 8 minutes left. Shakhtar 2, Real Madrid 0.
I tell you what, you've got to give Castro credit here in terms of the tactical plan first half, to sit in behind the ball and be hard to break down and frustrate Real Madrid, and then to come out in the second half and counter the way they have. Substitution comes on and scores. You've got to give credit to that, you know, driving at the back four and a great finish down low in the near post area.
Solomon scored late in the first half to make it 3-0 to Shakhtar in Madrid. He's now scored late in the second to make it 2-0, and almost putting Shakhtar within grasp of 3 points, Chris.
Extraordinary drama early on in our first commentary match. Our second is going to kick off in 23 minutes time. It's Liverpool against Ajax. Stephen Wyeth is your commentator, and you can remind us of the two teams. Very interesting when it comes to the Liverpool goalkeeper this evening.
Indeed, yes. Liverpool make 5 changes, 2 of them enforced by injuries to James Milner. He was hurt at the weekend against Brighton, and goalkeeper Alisson, who drops out as a precaution due to a thigh injury. Intriguingly, he's not replaced by the experienced Adrian, but 22-year-old Irishman Cavan Kelleher, who makes his Champions League debut. Jordan Henderson replaces Milner. Teenager Curtis Jones is back, and so too Sadio Mane. As for Ajax, well, they've got the luxury of being more or less at full strength. Daley Blind returns after missing the weekend with a hamstring injury, and Nicolas Tagliafico, who was rested at the weekend. Edson Alvarez makes his first start since the beginning of October, and David Neres plays in place of Lassina Traore, so Dusan Tadic will be the focal point of their attack.
Can't wait to see how Ryan Gravenberch does tonight, that prodigiously talented central midfield that Ajax have. That is our late commentary match. Our late other featured game is Atletico against Bayern. Jackie Oatley is going to be watching that one. Atletico will be pleased to know that Salzburg are beating Lokomotiv by 3-1, because it means if Atletico beat Bayern tonight, they will go through to the last 16, and Bayern have arrived in Madrid without many of their top players. No Goretzka, no Neuer, no Lewandowski. The goals as they go in with Jackie Oatley from Group A and from all the other later matches. But perhaps the story of the night is developing in front of our own eyes right now in Kiev. Shakhtar are 2-0 up against Real Madrid. Your commentary team for the last 6 minutes or so: Tanya Oxtoby, Bristol City women's manager and England coach, and Mike Sewell.
Shakhtar have made a double substitution in the closing stages, and the man that scored the opening goal, who'd come on for the injured Junior Moraes, has now gone off injured himself to be replaced by Fernando. That's Dentinho has gone off, Fernando on in his place. The other change, as the scorer of the second goal, Manor Solomon goes down injured, has seen Kovalenko go off and Alan Patrick come on. Frustration on the part of Real Madrid, and what an introduction from Manor Solomon, and a really good finish to what looks like get 3 points for Shakhtar. The group as it stands, 8 points for Borussia Mönchengladbach, 7 for Shakhtar, 7 for Real Madrid, 2 for Inter, who play Gladbach in around 20 minutes time. Well, the neutral will definitely want Inter to win that game to take it to match day 6. There'd only be 3 points between top and bottom if that was the case. Not over yet, though. We know Real Madrid can score some late goals. They scored 2 very late goals in Germany. They were 2-0 down to Borussia Mönchengladbach until Benzema scored with 3 minutes to go, and then Casemiro got the equaliser in the 3rd minute of added time. So you can never write off a team like Real Madrid, though the likes of Benzema and Casemiro are currently sitting on the bench. Just under 4 minutes left. Shakhtar have it deep inside the Real Madrid half on the far side. They rode the storm from Real Madrid in the first half. They defended resolutely. They didn't offer much going forward, but they're playing at the start of the second half, and the way they've counter-attacked looks to have been the perfect tactic, if indeed that's the way they decided to play it. Asensio for Real Madrid can't find Isco, so Shakhtar come back into the Real Madrid half again. On the run down this near side is Dodot, but he won't get there. Courtois clears out to this left side, but it's straight into touch, and in fact the ball is brought down by Zinedine Zidane.
Hasn't lost his touch, has he?
He hasn't, but he's going to be under a bit more pressure now, isn't he, if it stays like this?
Yeah, I think they've created enough opportunities, Real Madrid, throughout the game to not sort of be in this position, I suppose. So they need to be a little bit more clinical. But I think you have to give credit to Shakhtar here, because if the game plan is what it appears to be, it's been a bit of a masterclass, to be honest. And you know, they just need to control this last probably 5 to 7 minutes of the game, and 3 points is theirs. But let's not speak too soon.
They are attacking though. Maicon for Dodot, and he is forced to go back into his own half. He gets the return ball from Bonda, and then again Valery Bonda going all the way back to his goalkeeper Trubin. He's not really had a lot to do in the second half, Anatoly Trubin. Truth be known,
you've jinxed him there. He's kicked it straight out of play, unfortunately.
Luis Castro is about to mastermind a UEFA Champions League double in the group stage over none other than the 13 times winners, Real Madrid. The ones who won here 2.5 years ago, that 13th title. They are coming forward though. Vinicius Junior, left-hand angle of the area. He's tripped up by Maicon, so it's a free kick. A lot of Brazilians out on that pitch. I don't think I'm going to have time to count how many there are out there, but a lot of Brazilians have been involved in this game tonight. Shakhtar have got a really good scouting network in Brazil, and it's been a tradition of theirs to bring over talented Brazilians in the last 20 years or so, many of whom have gone on to great success. Kroos has a free kick. He had a similar one in this area earlier in the half. We're into the final minute of the 90. I think if Real Madrid are going to get anything out of the game, they're going to have to score now. From the left, just outside the area, Kroos with a right-footed free kick. He goes towards the back post, and it's beyond the post. It's a poor effort by Kroos' standards, and it's timidly out for a goal kick to Shakhtar, who just need to hold on for a few more minutes, Tanya.
Yeah, it's disappointing delivery. Very similar free kick area to where he delivered from last time. Just needed to put it in exactly the same spot with a little bit more pace on it, really. But overhit, and it's gone out for a goal kick, and now pressure's relieved a little bit for Shakhtar.
Last few seconds, let's see how much added time there'll be. Shakhtar actually coming forward down the far side with the man that got their second goal. Played in field by Solomon. 4 minutes of added time to come. We're into the first of them. Tete, right edge of the penalty area. Tete looking for space. Can they finish this match with aplomb and get a third goal? Tete from the angle crosses in, comfortably headed back to his goalkeeper by Vasquez, and he gets the immediate bowl out by Thibaut Courtois. The substitutes and replaced players on the Shakhtar bench are on their feet. This is going to feel very celebratory. Even though they haven't qualified for the knockout stages just yet, this has given them a really good chance of doing so on match day 6. Real Madrid come forward though. Mariano, left edge of the area. Vinicius plays it to Mondi, just outside the D. It's very central now. Isco to the right. Lucas Vasquez into the path of Vinicius, drives it in, and it ricochets back off Vinicius and out for a goal kick, and that will eat up some very valuable seconds.
That sums up Real Madrid's night there. You know, looking to get a shot on goal, and ricocheting off the defender and then back onto the Real Madrid player and out for a goal kick. Just hasn't quite been their night in front of goal, has it?
Well, prior to this game, they'd scored in 11 consecutive Champions League fixtures, so it's no mean feat by Shakhtar to stop them scoring. And what it means is they'll have only won 1 of their last 5 matches in all competitions. Real Madrid. Minute and a half played in added time. Shakhtar lead by 2-0. Dentinho and Solomon scoring in the second half, after Real Madrid dominated possession in the first. Kroos. And he seems to have lost his passing ability as well in the closing stages. That's gone way long, and out for a goal kick. from Toni Kroos. Real Madrid have been a shadow of the team they were in the first half. And they'll just feel it. If they could have taken one of those chances, if Trubin hadn't denied them, then it could have been very different. But as it is, Shakhtar heading for victory.
You can see that they're quite frustrated at the moment, and probably forcing things that they probably, normally wouldn't force. And that's a great example there. Trying to force a pass that probably wasn't on, and it's gone out for a goal kick.
On a chilly night in Kiev, Shakhtar have literally frozen Real Madrid out in the second half, and they're about to complete the double. Isco infield to Kroos, inside the centre circle, now out to the left for Nacho. First time ball further down the line for Vinicius. He's got support down the line from Mondi if he wants it, doesn't seem to. He's going it alone, but he's got two Shakhtar players for company. Eventually he wins the corner with a minute left of additional time. It's all going to be too little too late really from Real Madrid, even if they were to get something now. Varane's come forward, as has Nacho, and it's going to be Kroos to take the in-swinging corner. In fact, it goes out towards the edge of the area. Again, it's got a wayward delivery from Kroos, and Modric does really well under pressure from four Shakhtar players who are charging down on him, and in the end a free kick's been given for offside. Chris.
Salzburg have beaten Lokomotiv Moscow by 3-1. They are celebrating a huge victory. It gives them a chance in Group A, and it means that if Atletico beat Bayern this evening, Diego Simeone's side will join Bayern, who are already through in the last 16. Lokomotiv 1, Salzburg 3, the full-time score in Moscow.
8 seconds and counting left of added time as Anatoly Trubin takes the free kick. He goes into the Real Madrid half, and the referee puts his whistle to his lips and brings an end to this encounter, which has been won by Shakhtar on the basis of an excellent defensive display, particularly in the first half, and a really good counter-attacking performance in the second. Zinedine Zidane trudges down the steps towards the dressing room. His team have been beaten. Shakhtar have done the double over Real Madrid, and they've put themselves back in contention to reach the knockout stages of the UEFA Champions League. Real Madrid have missed the chance, and for both clubs it's going to go to match day 6. Goals from Dentinho and Solomon in the second half means that the final score is Shakhtar Donetsk 2, Real Madrid 0.
Wow, a shock result to begin match day 5 of this season's competition. Tanya Oxtoby, how did Shakhtar do that? How do a Shakhtar team that lose 10-0 on aggregate over 2 matches against Inter in the same group beat Real Madrid, the mighty Real Madrid, twice? That sums 2020 up, doesn't it?
Yeah, never underestimate the underdog, I suppose.
Yeah.
Their game plan, if it is what appeared to occur, is spot on. Kept themselves in the game in that first half, even though it was difficult, and rode their luck a little bit, but you earn your luck. I thought they were excellent in terms of their organisation, and then to come out the way they did in the second half and really take the game to Real Madrid. I personally don't think Real Madrid were expecting it, and caught them a little bit by surprise, and were clinical going the other way, and resolute in defence, and fantastic performance from them. Yeah,
they definitely switched it up at half-time, didn't they? And I come back to a quote after match day 1 when Luis Castro said maybe Real Madrid underestimated us. They appeared to be surprised at the change of tactic from Shakhtar in the second half.
Yeah, and we spoke at half-time, didn't we, about the need for Shakhtar to cause problems going the other way, to affect what Real Madrid were doing when they were in possession. And I think one of the other key things was, for me, Shakhtar obviously sort of countering effectively, but also then when it wasn't on, retaining the ball, but retaining it in their attacking half, and making Real have to come and press and try and win the ball back. And you could tell that they were getting frustrated. It affected their in-possession game then, Real Madrid, and yeah, that they just didn't have the fluidity and the movement off the ball that you probably need to break down a team like Shakhtar, who's really, really solid out of possession.
Tanya Oxtoby, thank you very much for your company this evening. Mike, your last word to you. Group B. Mönchengladbach 8 points. They're about to play Inter and can go through tonight. Shakhtar 7 points ahead of Real Madrid on the head-to-head. Of course, it's head-to-head now, not goal difference, which is good because Shakhtar's goal difference is -7, but they're second in the section. And then Inter on 2 points. So Inter need to win. You mentioned it in commentary. What a game coming up in Germany. What a group going into match day 6.
Yep, indeed. 3 points there'll be between the 4 clubs from top to bottom if Inter were to beat Borussia Mönchengladbach. That head-to-head record of Shakhtar's might end up getting them through. You never know.
Yeah.
Because if both teams were to draw, let's say on match day 6, it could be very interesting. But who knows? Who knows? It's going to be fascinating, especially now we've got the Inter Borussia Mönchengladbach game coming up. But as Tanya put it, it could have been considered a masterclass by Luis Castro and his team. They almost led Real Madrid into a false sense of security, didn't they?
They did. Fantastic result for Shakhtar. What a beginning to this Tuesday night in the UEFA Champions League. Mike, Tanya, thank you very much. The other early game, as I mentioned, finished Lokomotiv Moscow 1, Salzburg 2. It means Atletico can go through if they beat Bayern at the Metropolitano. So, 2 matches down. We've had plenty of drama and stories already. 6 still to come here on Match Day Live.
You're listening to UEFA Champions League Matchday Live.
It's the penultimate match day of this season's group stage in the Champions League. And coming up shortly, we have 2 absolute crackers.
It's still Mo Salah. He wants to turn it onto his left foot. He does! And we know what he does with his left foot. And that is 3-0 to Liverpool.
He crosses in. It's a great ball. Promise with a header. And Ajax are back in front. What a game this is turning out to be.
Full live commentary of Ajax's trip to Liverpool to come, whilst in Spain, Atletico face the defending champions Bayern.
What a goal that is from Jose Jimenez. A flick header from 15 metres out. It snuck just inside the post.
Still going here. And he's found the finish as well at the end of it all. It's 4-0. Bayern are running away with this.
Extended updates of Atletico against Bayern, plus we'll bring you the very latest from Borussia Mönchengladbach's key clash with Inter, Marseille against Olympiacos, Porto versus already qualified Manchester City, and Atalanta against Midtjylland. It promises to be another thrilling night on UEFA Champions League Match Day Live. Certainly does. We're on air until 11:30 p.m. CET. Keep your messages coming in on Twitter at Champions League using the hashtag MatchDayLive. Tell us where you are listening and get involved in our social media topic. Johan Cruyff helped Ajax knock Liverpool out of the competition. The last time they were at Anfield, they're in the tunnel right now, about to walk out onto that famous pitch. That was back in 1966. So who is your club's greatest player and why? The hashtag is MatchDayLive. Full commentary to come of Liverpool against Ajax. Liverpool can go through if they avoid defeat tonight, and they'll be confirmed as group winners if they beat Ajax, and Atalanta do not win. Jackie Oatley is also on the programme tonight and is watching Atletico against Bayern in Madrid. Now, they will have loved that win for Salzburg, Jackie. It gives Atletico a real opportunity against a depleted Bayern team this evening.
Oh, it's an absolutely fabulous result for Atletico. Lokomotiv Moscow losing 3-1 means a win for Atletico will see them join Bayern Munich in the last 16. So they know exactly what they have to do. And they'll be looking across at Bayern Munich in the tunnel and not seeing Robert Lewandowski and not seeing Manuel Neuer. These things all help, don't they? Bearing in mind that they've been rested. They're safely through with 4 wins out of 4. Coman, Goretzka and Tolisso also not playing. They do have 17-year-old centre-half Bright Ari Mb starting in defence alongside Niklas Zula. Ari Mb becoming Bayern's youngest ever Champions League player, breaking the record set by Jamal Musiala last month by just 3 days. There's just a month between them, and they both start tonight. Musiala's full Champions League debut, the England under-21 international. And Alex Nubel starts in goal for Bayern. And for Atletico, no surprises for them. They don't have Costa or Suarez. Looks to be a 3-5-2. They have Angel Correa and Joao Felix up front.
Goals as they go in with Jackie. We are at Anfield tonight for our commentary game, and the Champions League anthem once again rings round this famous old stadium. Two of European football's great names are in town tonight. Well, ordinarily the Kop would be alive on an evening like this. Liverpool beaten here a week ago by Atalanta. It has jittered the nerves. Another loss to Ajax and this group will be blown wide open. And Ajax have history away from home recently in the UEFA Champions League. Liverpool can go through tonight. Your commentary team is the European football journalist Kevin Hatchard and Stephen Wyeth. Kevin, Liverpool, Stephen read out a stat about the expected teams to go through in this section. Liverpool overwhelming favourites, but it doesn't quite feel like that, and maybe that's also partly due to the team they've had to pick tonight.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation that they're in, Chris, because we had the situation in the Premier League at the weekend where they dropped points. We know about the injury situation, and I think we were taken by surprise with just how easily Atalanta were able to cage them in that game last week. It wasn't that Atalanta scored, we knew they'd do that. It was what they did at the other end, so that's a concern.
In goal tonight is Koivin Kelleher. That is the really headline team news. No Alisson. Adrian is only on the bench. We can hear from Jurgen Klopp now speaking about why he's picked his young goalkeeper this evening.
I know him, I think, pretty much 5 years, if not 4 years for sure. I'm not sure when he came to the first team training with us, stuff like this. And it's just improving and improving and improving, and is a football-playing goalie and good shot stopper, which is obviously the most important thing. And yeah, my job is to make decisions, and I made that.
He's out there right now, surveying his surroundings and knowing he's involved in a real battle. Elsewhere in this section, it's Atalanta against Midtjylland. Tonight, 5 teams could have gone through. It's only 4 now because Real Madrid missed the opportunity. Liverpool are one of them. Atletico, Porto and Borussia Mönchengladbach are the others. We'll have the goals as they go in from all 6 of our late games. So much to play for on match day 5 in the Champions League. But your commentary team ahead of Liverpool against Ajax, who, given all of their history, have actually barely met in this competition, is Kevin Hatchard. But first, Stephen Wyeth.
Yes, inexplicably, Anfield hosting Liverpool against Ajax for just the second time in the Champions League / European Cup. The players are taking a knee on the first whistle of the night. Clambering to his feet, the Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson, one of those back in the starting lineup tonight, and it's he who gets us underway with Liverpool all in red and kicking from right to left away from the Kop, and a ball directed straight out to the left-hand side to Sadio Mane. Another of the 5 changes to the Liverpool starting lineup from the one that started a 1-1 draw against Brighton and Hove Albion in the Premier League at the weekend. Points dropped in the Premier League by Liverpool. Critically, it was the points dropped here in the middle of last week, the defeat by Atalanta, which has kept things very interesting in Group D. It was not supposed to be like this for Liverpool. Their progress through the group stage of the Champions League, bucking a recent trend, was supposed to be serene after they won their first 3 without conceding. But Jurgen Klopp's side beaten here by Atalanta, and that has given both the Italians and their opponents this evening, Ajax, hope. We've played 50 seconds. Joel Matip in possession for Liverpool. Plays it inside him to his left-hand side to Fabinho, who looks up from midway inside his own half in a central position, considers something expansive, and instead rolls it out to the left-hand side to Andy Robertson, who cuts inside Antony and plays it back to Matip. The pressure being applied by the Dutch side, who are all in black this evening. Ball forward cut out by Mazraoui. He sort of headed it back towards his own penalty area, perhaps hoping that it might reach his goalkeeper. It doesn't, but Ajax are breaking forward now through the middle of Liverpool, or at least that's their intention. Gravenberg has made its way out to the right to Antony, who's laid it up the right-hand touchline. crossing opportunity for Mazraoui. He kind of hits the cross at rather than to Dusan Tadic. He's unable to control, but Liverpool are unable to clear until Henderson gets on the ball and sends it forward in the direction of Sadio Mane. A ball drops kindly into his path, and here's a chance for Liverpool very early on. Diogo Jota with the pullback, and a save very, very early on for Andre Onana. It was Curtis Jones taking aim.
Well, they worked that really well, Liverpool. It was a rather wayward header from Schürrle, and they were onto it so very quickly. Really penetrative pass into the penalty area, and Curtis Jones will be a little disappointed he didn't test Onana more fully there. It was a rather comfortable save. Yeah,
it was one of those where Onana looked like he might have dived too early and the ball would go in behind him, but he was able to adjust and grab as it drifted from Jones' left foot towards him. What do you make, though, Kevin, of the intensity with which Ajax have started the first 2.5 minutes?
Really lively, and we saw as Mazraoui made that break early on down the right-hand side, he had 3 players to aim for in the penalty area. Erik ten Hag, the coach, talked about his players being more courageous than they were in the first meeting between these teams, and that's a good early sign for them.
Ajax are attacking down the left-hand side. Here's Dusan Tadic with the captain's armband across his left bicep, swapping passes with David Neres. Back to David Neres, who's attacking the touchline at the Kop end of Anfield, and he's won the game's first corner kick.
Yeah, it's a really strong start from Ajax. They had 4 in the penalty area there, and they actually played well in that first meeting between the sides. They felt that they didn't really expose Liverpool's flaws enough in that first game, felt that they were maybe there to be shot at and didn't do that enough, but they're on the front foot.
Corner is taken short, whipped in, and there's plenty of black shirts to aim at, and it's headed over the crossbar from what looked a really good position, that by Schürrle.
First big chance of the night here on UEFA Champions League Matchday Live in the 6 late games. Another featured match has kicked off. Atletico against Bayern. Atletico are through with a win. Jackie Oatley, how have they started?
Yes, 3.5 minutes played here, no goals, and both sides just feeling each other out in the opening few minutes or so. It's notable that Joao Felix, a 21-year-old Atletico Madrid forward, been crowded out by about 4 Bayern defenders whenever he gets the ball. But Atleti know what they have to do. They have to win, and they're through 0-0.
He's getting the Lionel Messi treatment already this early on in his career. 0-0 in all of the 6 late games. Earlier, Shakhtar shocked Real Madrid again, if you missed it. An extraordinary night in Kiev to blow that section wide open, and Salzburg were winners away at Lokomotiv, which is the reason that Atletico can go through if they are victorious.
Klaassen aiming a ball from the right-hand side over to the left to David Neres, back to Dusan Tadic, who unselfishly tries to square it to Antony, and perhaps Dusan Tadic should have shot there, Kevin Hatchard. That was a good opportunity for the Ajax captain.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Stephen. It was there for the shot. Trying to just play that ball first time to a teammate, but we know how talented he is. We know how well he can strike a ball. I know he's got Joel Matip in front of him, but I think he can hit that first time, and certainly the coach Erik ten Hag seemed to agree.
Yes, the universal sign language of arms spread out wide as though, what were you doing? That was the wrong decision. 5 minutes played, Liverpool 0, Ajax 0, but an encouraging start in terms of the entertainment potential, because both Liverpool through Curtis Jones and Ajax through Dusan Tadic have carved out good shooting opportunities, but ball turned over by Ajax deep inside their own half. Mo Salah back, off the frame of the goal. What an effort that was from Curtis Jones, curling it right-footed, and looked for all the world like he was going to curl it inside the post. Andy Robertson's follow-up cross headed away by Alvarez and helped further clear. Eventually Klaassen it is completing the job, but a real scare for Ajax and Liverpool, so close to taking the lead, but now here come Ajax in the other direction. Tadic though unable to break clear, and eventually the ball is out of play for a throw-in. Curtis Jones cannot believe he hasn't scored.
What a start we've had to the game, and it all comes from Davy Klaassen. It's a rather wayward pass in his own half. They work the ball to Mo Salah, great awareness of what's around him. He knows Curtis Jones is just inside the D. We said that he didn't have enough conviction with his earlier shot on goal. No problems there. He knows exactly what he's doing, trying to guide that ball just inside the post, and he just gets his angle slightly wrong, and it comes crashing back off the upright with Onana beaten. But this has been a fabulous start to the contest.
6.5 minutes played, 0-0, but not without chances. We just saw a fantastic replay of that from behind the goal. If it had been a yard further out, Curtis Jones, he would have had the shape on the shot perfect. But Chris, great start at Anfield, but Liverpool 0, Ajax 0 it remains.
I love that thump of the woodwork. It's about the only good thing with no fans is you can hear it reverberate around. Liverpool can go through tonight, so can Gladbach. They will be through if they beat Inter. Inter have started the better in that match. Lautaro Martinez has just had a double chance. One of them saved by Jan Sommer, the other well blocked. 7 minutes gone in that game. It's 0-0. It's actually goalless across Europe in all of our late games as Midtjylland go through on goal. They can't take the opportunity against Atalanta, which is the other match in Liverpool and Ajax's group.
Yeah, Liverpool, if they draw tonight, are through. If Ajax were to win, well, that would keep things very, very interesting. But as we were saying earlier, the numbers boffins, the analytics have worked out that Liverpool 99.3% certain to go through. Who knows how they come to these conclusions. Curtis Jones inside the penalty area, right-hand side to Henderson, just on the edge of the penalty area. Thinks about turning onto his left shot, then has Wijnaldum arriving, and his shot is charged down by Edson Alvarez. Out it goes to the left to Andy Robertson. Real intensity about Liverpool, who are giving the impression that they don't want to be thinking about a point tonight. They want all three, but the play is broken up, and Anthony stabs the ball forward, hopefully in the direction of Dusan Tadic. It's picked off though by Fabinho on halfway, and here come Liverpool again, having ridden out the early Ajax enthusiasm. Liverpool have settled into a pretty decent rhythm here, Kevin Hatchard.
They have. It's going to be interesting to see the balance between attack and defence for Liverpool, because they've already had a couple of scares. They know that Ajax will commit men forward, and to an extent it's who blinks first, because we know both of these sides are going to play on the front foot.
Daley Blind is across to dispossess Sadio Mane and put the ball out of play for a throw-in, very nearly level with the edge of the penalty area on the left-hand side. Daley Blind, one of those in the Ajax starting lineup tonight, with huge experience of having played club football in England. David Klaassen and Dusan Tadic as well. Up the left-hand touchline come Liverpool, and Diogo Jota has got to the goal line, and Per Schurz backtracking gets the tackle in, and not only wins the tackle, but the ball deflects off Diogo Jota behind for a goal kick. 9 minutes played, it's 0-0.
Still 0-0 in the other game in this section, but how Atalanta aren't ahead, only Duvan Zapata knows. Found by Luis Muriel with a cutback. He must have been 3 or 4 metres out, and he's blazed over the crossbar. Massive chance for Atalanta. If they were to win that game and this one was drawn, it really would be very interesting going into match day 6. A long way to go yet.
Yeah, Liverpool looked so well placed, didn't they, to progress with 2 games to spare after winning their first 3 without conceding. But that defeat here to Atalanta last week has completely changed the complexion of the group. Liverpool coming in with 9 points, Ajax and Atalanta with 7 apiece. Midtjylland eliminated, bottom of the group, without a single point thus far. Here's Mazraoui, one of the scorers in a 3-1 win for Ajax last week against Midtjylland. Anthony has gone down, clutching his right calf. Fabinho, the finger of blame, seems to be pointed in his direction. Tobias Stieler, the German referee, has given a free kick for Ajax as Fabinho's clipped Anthony as he tried to get around him, and well, an apology of sorts coming from Sadio Mane on the behalf of his teammate.
It was a tangle of legs, shall we say. We'll be kind to Fabinho there against his compatriot. But Anthony has got a really important job for Ajax down that right-hand side, not just from the attacking point of view, and he will come in onto his favoured left foot as much as he can off the right, but he also has to try and pen back Andrew Robertson, because Robertson's such an important attacking outlet from full-back for Liverpool.
Yes, Liverpool's record for wins when Robertson is in the team compared with when he isn't is quite stark. Flag is up. Anthony just went a little bit too early on his dart down the right-hand side beyond Robertson, and it will be a Liverpool free kick. Ajax's record away from home in the Champions League, absolutely phenomenal. 11 without defeat in the Champions League group stage onwards. It's 17 without defeat away from Amsterdam if you include Champions League qualifiers. That is a record that suggests that they are more than capable of winning at Anfield this evening. But Liverpool have had the better opportunities thus far. as Andre Onana is alert to the edge of his penalty area to gather a slightly overhit ball in the direction of Diogo Jota. Blint for David Neres, who's just inside his own half before turning into Liverpool territory and finding Nicolas Tagliafico, the player who scored the own goal when these sides met back in Amsterdam on match day 1 in what was a 1-0 victory for Liverpool. But Ajax have improved markedly since then, and certainly, as Kevin was alluding to, Erik ten Hag believes they will be a very different proposition for the Premier League champions tonight. Tadic trying to release David Neres. Ball forward now for Sadio Mane. Flag has stayed down. He's between 2 Ajax defenders. Then he goes to ground, and the loose ball is picked off by Daley Blind, who plays it out to Gravenberch. And now here come Ajax down the left-hand side. 1 or 2 Liverpool players still chuntering about whether or not that should have been at the very least a free kick, maybe even a penalty. Tagliafico finally runs out of progress, and the ball is cleared only as far as midway inside the Liverpool half, and Edson Alvarez spreading it out to the right to Anthony, who controls left-footed, and now he's up against Robertson cutting inside. Ronaldo is also cutting off the passing lanes. Back to Schürrle, who clips it forward with the outside of his right foot but gets his angles wrong, and it drifts behind for a goal kick. 13 minutes played. It's Liverpool 0, Ajax 0.
The latest from Atletico against Bayern, Jackie Oatley.
Also 30 minutes played here, 0-0, but Atletico with most of the attacking intent, as you might expect, bearing in mind a win for them would see them through to the last 16. Joao Felix has been busy. He fed Correa for a shot, but straight at Nubel. Koke over the bar, and Felix himself just failed to get on the end of Llorente's cross from the right. Atletico Madrid 0, Bayern 0.
Big goal in Group D, and a shock goal because Midtjylland lead against Atalanta. It's been scored by one of their centre-halves, Alexander Schultz, the captain. Chested down from a long ball forward by Sori Kaba, and he whacked it home like a centre-forward. Good result this for both Liverpool and for Ajax. Later score in Bergamo. Kevin Hatchard, Atalanta 0, Midtjylland 1.
It's interesting because Schultz said in the build-up to this game about that 4-0 defeat in the reverse fixture, it felt like I was back playing youth football. We got absolutely hammered. Well, he's just hammered one in for Midtjylland.
Wow, that really would put the cat amongst the pigeons in this section. That is the first goal in any of the 6 late games, Stephen White.
Sadio Mane with the ball into the Ajax penalty area, but it's all the way through to Andre Onana, who it will be relieved that he's not been stretched since the ball bounced back off the frame of his goal from Curtis Jones' effort around about 9 minutes ago. He's also saved from Curtis Jones. That's the closest we've come to a goal at Anfield. It remains 0-0. Liverpool knowing that a point will send them through, because effectively if they get to 10 points, whatever happens elsewhere, can't have a situation in which both Ajax and Atalanta can overhaul them, because those two sides meet on match day 6. Foul on halfway. Fabinho commits it on Dusan Tadic. Difference of opinion between the two players as to whether or not that was the correct decision. Tadic tugs at his shirt to demonstrate that Fabinho had a pretty firm grip on it, and the replay would suggest that Tadic was correct.
Fabinho trying to be aggressive, trying to win that ball early. Didn't really need to do that. Interesting that there's not really a lot of pressure, although he's nearly put pressure on himself a moment ago, on Daley Blind. They're happy to let him start the build-up for Ajax. In the first game, they used Roberto Firmino to try and press him, try and make life tough for him to start attacks. They're not doing that at the moment.
It's gone long this time, Blind, up towards David Neres, and the ball sort of bounces off him towards Davy Klaassen, who's unable to control, and it bounces off his forehead and out of play for a throw-in. We've not had a chance to mention Koyvind Kelleher, the youngster in goal for Liverpool tonight, because he's not had anything to do as yet. 15.5 minutes played, and Liverpool are attacking again. Here's Wijnaldum just inside the Ajax half on a little dance with Edson Alvarez, and he's forced to retreat to Fabinho, so that's a little to and fro that the Mexican will feel as though he has emerged victorious from. But they are sticking pretty close to each other, those two, Wijnaldum and Alvarez. Fabinho, like Blint a few moments ago at the other end, is allowed to bring the ball out, and Jones has retreated into a position behind Fabinho with which to try and launch an attack. Ajax are closing down the space pretty successfully without pressing too intensively. The ball is all the way back to Kelleher. the 22-year-old Irishman who plays it out to the edge of his penalty area and gets it back again from Curtis Jones, and now he will clear it left-footed, a flat, long clearance, easily picked off by Schürz, who nods it down to the right back, Mazraoui, who turns away from Sadio Mane. And back it goes to first Schürz and then Blint. Liverpool 2 games without a win in all competitions, so not often that we've said that over the course of the last couple of years. The 1-1 draw with Brighton at the weekend in the Premier League after the defeat by Atalanta, and just 1 win in 4 for Liverpool in all competitions. That is the impact that a succession of significant injury problems has been having on them. 17 minutes played, Liverpool 0, Ajax 0.
Antonio Conte skipping down the touchline at Borussia Park because Inter lead. It's not Lukaku, it's not Martinez, it's Matteo Darmian who has got himself into the penalty area and from the angle rifled the ball through the legs of Jan Sommer, who couldn't keep it out. Inter have been the better team and they lead Gladbach. Gladbach can go through tonight with a win, but they trail by 1-0. That section, Group B, after Shakhtar beat Real Madrid earlier. Well, it's anybody's.
Ajax in possession at Anfield on the left. Gravenberch looking to make progress. His pass, though, is deflected, although it does eventually reach a teammate in the shape of David Neres. Back it goes to Tagliafico at left back. Tagliafico was an unused substitute by Ajax at the weekend in a 5-0 win over Emmen, given a rest ahead of this evening. Daley Blind sat out that game with a hamstring injury, the only game that he has missed this season, and here he is in possession now, forced to retreat by Mo Salah. Back to goalkeeper Onana, who's also being closed down by Salah, and plays it out to Klaasner. Has to be very alert to get there ahead of Jordan Henderson, but Alvarez has got a bit of space with which to spread the ball out to the left-hand side, where he finds David Neres cutting in from the touchline. Here's Gravenberch, scorer of that phenomenal goal against Midtjylland last week, a curling right foot shot off the underside of the crossbar. Mazraoui, who also scored in that game, finds Anthony inside the penalty area onto the left foot, but his shot is well wide of the target. He was trying to shape it by curling it with the left foot towards the target, and it just drifted harmlessly in the other direction. But that's the best we've seen from Ajax for a while.
That's his calling card, Stephen. That's what he loves to do, Anthony. You come in off that right-hand side, open up the goal and hit it left-footed, but he doesn't get bend on it. He just goes for power. Doesn't really get it right. Just at the other end, there was an interesting moment when Ajax lost the ball just inside Liverpool territory, and Mo Salah and Sadio Mane sprinted forward like they've been fired out of rockets. I think that's the plan. If they can try and catch them on the counter, that's what they'll do. Just go full pelt as quick as they can and hope for that quick ball over the top.
Do they know any other way? It is interesting, in amongst all of these injury problems that Liverpool have had, that Diogo Jota, Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, Georgia Wijnaldum, they've all been involved, along with Andy Robertson, in every single Champions League game this season. So there have been one or two who have provided Jurgen Klopp with a degree of consistency, at least in this competition, in amongst that long list of absentees. Van Dijk, Thiago, we now know we won't see him again until next year. Joe Gomez, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Keita, Shaqiri, and now Alisson, the first choice goalkeeper as well, which is why Koivin Kelleher is starting tonight. We've reached the 20-minute mark at 0-0, but Ajax have settled down a little bit after a flurry of Liverpool attacks, and that striking of their post by Curtis Jones with a thunderous right foot shot from the edge of the penalty area. Blint forward out to the left-hand side to David Neres, who controls and now is looking for support. Tagliafico is just ahead of him, but David Neres comes inside and swaps passes with Tadic, and now the cross cut out by Fabinho, who clears to the edge of the penalty area. Gravenberch has controlled, not with his arm as Liverpool are suggesting, and he finds David Neres, and this is a good opportunity. Cross towards Klaassen, and a good save by Kelleher. Whistle blows, wouldn't have counted, but that will give the young Liverpool goalkeeper a boost in confidence, because it remains 0-0.
Okay, latest scores earlier, if you missed it. Salzburg won 3-1 at Lokomotiv, which means Atletico can go through in that section if they win tonight. It finished Shakhtar 2, Real Madrid 0. The only goals in the late games are Inter 1-0 up at Gladbach and Midtjylland 1-0 up at Atalanta. It's goalless between Atletico and Bayern, Marseille and Olympiacos, Porto and Manchester City, and your commentary match between Liverpool and Ajax. Remember to get in touch using the hashtag MatchDayLive. Tell us where in the world you're listening and tell us who your club's greatest player is and why, because the last time Ajax were at Anfield, Johan Cruyff inspired them to victory. Kevin Hatchard, this first 22 minutes has absolutely breezed along at Anfield. I can't believe it's still 0-0.
It's been terrific, and I think Ajax, having committed men forward so often in the opening minutes, have just had a bit of a collective breather. But I think they're a little surprised that Liverpool aren't really pressing them that much. They're allowing Daley Blind to have a lot of space in starting attacks, and there was a real scare for Liverpool a few moments ago when David Neres burst forward. So Ajax are posing a threat.
Here comes David Neres again down the left-hand side. He's got Tadic just ahead of him, and that's where the pass goes. Tadic crosses with the left foot. Klaassen again is very nearly on the end of it, and it's turned behind for a corner by Robertson, who wasn't entirely sure where Anthony was behind him. Twice, the former Everton midfielder, not renowned as a goal scorer, has been the furthest man forward for Ajax, and that one was just beyond his reach.
So this is what he does, Stephen. He loves that burst into the penalty area, running late. He did this at Werder Bremen from time to time, just making the extra man. Fabinho and Andy Robertson just did not see him coming, and he's twice now snuck in between them, and that is a real threat for Liverpool. They have to be very, very careful.
Yeah, talking about club's greatest players, come back to that in a moment. Dusan Tadic onto his right foot, crosses deep this time, and it's cleared as far as Salah, who hooks it hopefully towards Robertson. Given away. Diogo Jota, heavy touches cost him an opportunity one-on-one with Mazraoui, and now David Neres turns and comes in the other direction. This is very much an end-to-end contest with 23 minutes on the clock. Liverpool 0, Ajax 0, all to play for in Group D of the Champions League, and both of these clubs very hopeful of progressing, but a lot will depend on what happens here at Anfield this evening. Ajax settling into a rhythm as Anthony plays it left-footed infield to Blind, who's inside the centre circle. He spreads it out to the left to Tagliafico. Up against Jota, Gravenberch, who skips away from Curtis Jones, finds David Neres. Klaassen, he's forced backwards a few yards, but Mazraoui, first time, swapping passes with Tadic, and then the ball very nearly breaks for Tadic. In fact, it does break for Tadic, but he couldn't keep it under his control. But good spell of sustained pressure this from Ajax, and Blind is clipping it forward again, just beyond the reach of Tadic this time, and Kelleher is out, and is bowling it out very quickly, Alisson style, towards Mane, who's away down the left-hand side, cutting in between two players, but Schürrle recovers to make the challenge. This is relentless, Kevin Hatchard. When do we get a break?
It's been tremendous so far. Schürrle with another really good challenge there. They're trying to turn him round. They're trying to get in behind him. He's not the quickest, Schürrle, but as we've seen already, he's an incredible tackler. And at the other end, they tried to get through the brick wall that is Fabinho. Good luck with that. He made the challenge not once, but twice. So when he's one-on-one tackling in those situations, he's about as good as there is. It's when positionally he's sometimes out of position and struggles, that's when you can get at him. But you try and take him on one-on-one, you'll struggle.
My first half cup of tea is going to be cold by the time I get to drink it if it goes on like this.
You got a cup of tea?
Yeah, sorry. Should I have done a round?
I think you should have.
Is that the done thing? It's a 0-0. If it's any consolation, Kev, I'm not going to get a chance to drink it, so neither of us will have had a cup of tea in the first half. Gravenberch deflects off him, out of play. 25 minutes on the clock. Liverpool 0, Ajax 0. Chris, make it quick, something's going to happen.
Well, seeing as you've been complaining about not having a break, here it is, Stephen Wyeth. We'll go to Jackie Oatley. How's it looking between Atletico and Bayern?
Still no goals, 25 minutes played. Atleti know they need a win to go through tonight. That would be lovely from their point of view, but they are attacking without too much joy. Lovely moment just now from a throw-in. Gorgeous back heel by Joao Felix. Oh, it was sublime. Into the path of Carrasco, and he fired low into the side netting. Just one decent chance for Bayern Munich. Good work by Musiala, and Zane over the bar. When I say over the bar, I mean virtually over the stand from the edge of the box. Atletico Madrid 0, Bayern 0. And they've scored! Joao Felix out of nothing. Marcos Llorente breaking into the box on the right. He cut it back, and there was the young Portuguese forward. This vast immensely talented player, and he has just given Atletico Madrid a glorious chance of getting out of this group tonight. It's Atletico Madrid 1, Bayern Munich 0.
Goals as they go in on UEFA Champions League Match Day Live. Salzburg and Lokomotiv will not have enjoyed that moment. João Felix certainly did. Bayern have already gone through, have already topped the section. Atletico are joining them as things stand. Liverpool are going through at the moment, but boy, what a game they're involved in. Stephen Wyeth and Kevin Hatchard watching the Reds against Ajax.
Not necessarily the volume of opportunities is making this intriguing, but the end-to-end nature of the contest, as we see a shot of Adrian on the touchline for Liverpool, the man that most would have assumed would deputise for Alisson this evening, considering he does have previous Champions League experience, including the match day one game in Amsterdam against Ajax, but instead it is the 22-year-old Irishman, Koivin Kelleher, and we are taking a breather because Andy Robertson is having his left foot strapped up pretty intensively, actually. There's an awful lot of strapping going on there, 2 layers of it, 2 different colours, Chris, so that perhaps gives you an opportunity, with this game still goalless after 27 minutes, to tell us about what else is going on.
Well, not that much actually. In terms of the 5 that could have gone through tonight, Real Madrid messed up their chance by being beaten by Shakhtar. Atletico are currently going through, as you just heard from Jackie Oatley. Borussia Mönchengladbach are not, because they are trailing by a 0-0 against Inter. Porto need a victory against Manchester City, but it's Liverpool. It's level, I should say, not Liverpool. And Liverpool, who we're watching, are going through. Kevin Hatchard will get there in the end, but well, Jurgen Klopp's face has turned to thunder again. He cannot lose another defender, can he?
Well, Andy Robertson's putting his boot back on as quickly as possible, as if he's worried somebody's going to drag him off the field. He's like, no, boss, I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. I've never seen anybody put a boot on so quickly.
I wonder just how difficult it would be for anybody under the current circumstances to go and knock on Jurgen Klopp's door and say, I think I might be struggling for the weekend, gaffer. Took a hefty one. Yeah, we think Andy Robertson might have hurt that left ankle, left foot very early on in the game, and perhaps the adrenaline has dissipated, and he's just been feeling it in the last couple of minutes, which is why he's had a clear tape, then a black tape go on, then the socks gone back on, and eventually the boot, and we are back underway. 28.5 minutes played. We are waiting the opening goal, and Ajax are on the attack, and the ball is sent back to Kelleher, who's got Dusan Tadic right in front of him, and he clips it out left-footed. Ronaldo helps it on towards Mane, who nods it intelligently down into the path of Henderson, who tries to strike it with the outside of the boot, and is a little bit fortunate that the pass has found its way to Nico Williams, who's not had too many opportunities to get forward down that right-hand side as such. He's had to be on a very, very cautious brief, with David Neres poised to race down the left-hand side as Ajax attack. It's Liverpool trying to get forward down their left-hand side, but Robertson is playing the ball backwards to Matip, who has now found Nico Williams with a bit of space to charge into, and he's made good progress. And now the cross cut out by Schürrle, cleared only as far as the edge of the penalty area, and Salah. It's got Curtis Jones well stationed, and so too Henderson, who made his return from injury as a second-half substitute against Brighton at the weekend. He was injured on international duty, playing for England during the course of the November international break. So yes, they have a whole host of players on the sidelines, Liverpool, but getting their captain back and fit and able to start tonight was at least something that offered them encouragement in amongst the fairly gloomy medical picture at the club at present. Salah infield, it goes to Ronaldo. Mo Salah, another player who they've had to cope without recently, but he passed a COVID-19 test ahead of the weekend, so was able to, ahead of the game against Atalanta last week, and was able to return to action. Kelleher clears the ball forward, left-footed, from the edge of his penalty area. Mane, though, can't direct it down into the path of Diogo Jota. And now here comes Anthony up against Fabinho. Cuts back onto the left foot, as he almost always will, and then drifts away from Fabinho, who's happy to pass him on to the retreating Diogo Jota. All the way back it goes to Blind, who plays it first time out to the left to Tagliafico, who goes down under a challenge by Curtis Jones, but Tobias Stieler, the referee, is satisfied that that was a fair challenge, and Liverpool are allowed to go on. And eventually, as the ball goes out of play, it will be an Ajax throw. really is retaining that intensity, even though we've had that layoff for the Robertson injury. It's done absolutely nothing to disrupt the flow of the game. And Jones given the benefit of the doubt in a tangle of legs with Tagliafico, who was looking to get away down the left-hand side.
The merest brush on the ball, let's say, from Curtis Jones there, but he made up the ground really well. I think Liverpool have tried to slow it down a little bit to get a bit more control of the game. I think they were probably a bit spooked by how easily Ajax were breaking through them.
Here comes David Neres inside the Liverpool penalty area. He's got 2 for company, including Williams, who plays it out for a throw-in about 5 metres away from the left-hand corner flag as Ajax attack. David Neres getting on with that throw really quickly. And Gravenberch has done brilliantly to retrieve a pass that was fractionally overhit. Now Mazraoui shooting right-footed, and that's a brilliant save from Kelleher, diving to his left and getting his right hand up over his head to turn it behind for a corner kick.
That's going to feel really good for Kelleher. Get that first meaningful save in. He had that save from Klaassen, but it wouldn't have counted, but this most certainly would have. He strikes the ball so very well, Mazraoui. It's moving in the air. Good, strong right hand to send that ball over the top. It's a really good save.
Yeah, it was close enough to him for it to be comfortable, but as you say, for a young goalkeeper getting his first taste of European club football, that is a moment that will offer him both confidence and encouragement that he is exactly where he is entitled to be, playing in goal for Liverpool in the Champions League tonight. Tadic, left foot, swinging it in. It's a deep one. Oh, Kelleher came, didn't get there, but Edson Alvarez was offside as he tried to head it back across the face of goal. He wasn't successful in doing that anyway, the Mexican, and it will be a free kick to Liverpool, and 0-0 it remains.
He has that slightly guilty look on his face, Kelleher, as goalkeepers do when they know that really they shouldn't have come for that ball. It was a really dangerous ball in. But just going back to that Mazraoui shot, it's something that Mazraoui does love to do for Ajax. He'll drift in field and make the extra man from full-back. They're happy to take that risk as long as it pays off with that overload in a central area, and that's what we saw, and that's what led to the shot. And Ajax continuing to pose a threat.
And he does have 3 goals in 18 previous Champions League appearances, Mazraoui, so he is a full-back who knows where the back of the net is. Foul on Diogo Jota, free kick to Liverpool. Alvarez penalised, and this is what, 20-25 metres out from goal, just right of centre. Liverpool will fancy this one, Kev.
Yeah, they will, and it was not exactly subtle from Alvarez, let's say. It was a good piece of chest control from Jota, turning against Blint, and Alvarez coming back to help out, just grabbed Jota by the shoulder and turned him round. And this is a real danger. No Trent Alexander-Arnold, but players who can strike the ball viciously from this kind of range. And this is a test for Onana,
who is leaning against his left-hand post to organise his wall. Jordan Henderson and Andy Robertson are both there. Robertson looks purposeful, but Henderson has placed the ball, so your guess is as good as ours. Pair of them lining it up. It is Henderson who curls it, and it strikes the wall at head height. That was a brave piece of defensive work by that Ajax wall, because that was hit with some serious venom.
And he struck it well. I'm a little surprised Mo Salah wasn't part of that conversation. Go with it with the left foot. I felt it was an angle for a left footer.
Yeah, maybe he was part of that conversation. He was just excluded from it pretty quickly. 10 minutes to go until half-time. Liverpool 0, Ajax 0. Very nicely poised, still in Group D.
Olympiacos leads in Marseille. Mohamed Kamara with a brilliant finish from the edge of the box on his left foot, which whistled past Steve Mandanda. They have to win tonight. Even that might not be enough. In truth, this looks like a game which will determine who finishes third and goes into the Europa League. And it's Olympiacos who lead at Marseille, who are on a record run of defeats in the Champions League, and they are behind again. 1 goal to Olympiacos. It's still 0-0 between Porto and Manchester City. Inter is still 1-0 up against Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Midtjylland is still 1-0 up against Atalanta. Atletico are heading through because they are currently winning against Bayern. Jackie Oatley providing updates from that. Your commentary team for Liverpool Ajax is Kevin Hatchard and Stephen Wyeth.
Liverpool on course to get the point that would take them through to the round of 16 yet again. Liverpool aiming to move on from the group for the 4th successive season. They would have 10 points as things stand. Ajax would move on to 8, and Atalanta, because they are losing against Midtjylland, would remain on 7. So it would be Liverpool going through and either Ajax or Atalanta joining them, but there's still plenty of football to be played this evening, of course. Slight failure to get the ball on from Klaassen to Mazraoui has left a gap at right back for Liverpool to try and exploit, but Schür is across to snuff out the threat being posed by Sadio Mane, and Mane has given his opponent a very clear shove in the back, and that will be an Ajax free kick with 9 minutes of the first half to be played.
He's done a really good job, Schür's. He had a couple of scary moments early on. He had a header that was a little bit wayward that Liverpool seized upon. A couple of passes that Ajax saw go astray early on, but he has really stood up well. He's used what pace he has to deal with the danger, and he's tackled well, and he's been strong when he's needed to be. He really has been one of Ajax's better players so far.
The tea's not too bad, actually, Kev. I thought you'd want to know. It's warm enough.
I'm looking forward to the one in the second half that you're going to make.
Well, I'll see what I can arrange. I'll see if my people can sort something out for you. Henderson infield from the right-hand side with a header, but it's picked off by Ajax. And here comes Dusan Tadic with the ball forward. David Neres, yeah, so clearly offside. The flag goes up straight away. You heard the cry, I think, from one of the Liverpool players just to alert the linesman that he was definitely offside. And that's a wasted opportunity for David Neres to get himself back in line with the Liverpool defence, because that would have been a good attacking opportunity. Instead, it's back with Koivin Kelleher. If you're thinking about finding out a little bit about Liverpool's goalkeeper, by the way, Koivin, spelt C-A-O-I-M-H-I-N. I wouldn't normally do that, but it is an unusual name, not one that we come across very often, a Gaelic name, and thought you might appreciate knowing a little bit more about him, so you can look him up at half-time. Left-hand side, as Ajax look to break out. Infield by Tagliafico to Gravenberch. He's not had an opportunity to take aim as yet, but he has spread a brilliant ball into the Liverpool half, which Anthony has kept in play by the finest of margins, but he was on his backside when he did so, but so Robertson had a fairly simple job of nipping the ball away from him and starting a Liverpool attack, and Mane is shoved to the ground by Mazraoui, who was out of position, and that will be a Liverpool free kick.
Yeah, Gravenberch is starting to really impose himself on that midfield area. He's so good at evading the press, calls himself a contortionist. He says he's a bit of a snake as a player, able to wriggle out of any situation, and his passing range is starting to really be felt now and be a real weapon for Ajax.
Jones for Liverpool, left-hand corner of the penalty area, a couple of step-overs, back onto his right foot, Diogo Jota just behind him on his shoulder, back to Jones, trying to clip it through a gap, but Robertson knew that if he continued his run, he would be offside, and it's back with Onana. We've got 6.5 minutes of the first half remaining, Chris. Liverpool 0, Ajax 0.
Yeah, similar time of the first half at the Metropolitano. Jackie Oatley watching Atletico against Bayern.
That's right, Atletico Madrid 1, Bayern 0. Thoroughly enjoying this first half, by the way. Atleti knowing a win for them sees them through, joining Bayern in the last 16, and they are going for it. Some sublime skill from Joao Felix yet again. Not only did he score after a throw-in from the right-hand side from Trippier and a 1-2 with Llorente, but he's had another shot since then, and just now a wonderful bit of skill, spinning away from Sarr, lays it off to Carrasco, and he fed Llorente, turned it onto his left foot, and he's rifled it over the bar. Still 1-0.
Here comes Wijnaldum for Liverpool. Brilliant for Diogo Jota. Good chance this. Great tackle by Alvarez as Jota was trying to cut inside onto that right foot and get the shot away. That was potentially a goal-saving challenge. And now Ajax can try and build themselves down the left-hand side with David Neres. That was a moment, Kevin, that Liverpool finally came back to life again.
And Liverpool's chances have generally come when Ajax have given the ball away in their own half. That's what Liverpool are doing, waiting for errors.
Here's Anthony on the right-hand side for Ajax, forced onto the right foot. There comes the cross. It's high up into the air off the head of Fabinho, who then clears at the second attempt. Mane for Diogo Jota, who plays it back in field towards Mane, but that's good backtracking by Mazraoui, who has the ball back at his feet, having swapped passes with Daley Blind. Both teams working equally hard. They are cancelling each other out, but that is not in a negative way. This game is 0-0 because of two excellent teams playing exceptionally well in this first half and just not able to find the breakthrough. And 0-0 it remains. 4.5 minutes of the first half remaining.
Yeah, it's a fantastic watch, this game at Anfield. Raheem Sterling has just had one cleared off the line in the game between Porto and Manchester City. It remains 0-0. Last, 5 minutes of the 6 late games, and if you missed it earlier, Shakhtar beat Real Madrid yet again this season. A fine win in Kiev, and Salzburg were victors over Lokomotiv.
Gravenberch for David Neres. Out to the left-hand side he goes, trying to get away from Williams, who forces him backwards. Blint. It's just under-hit the pass intended for Neres, and that's enabled Williams to get his foot on it. And now Wijnaldum forward for Mane. Across comes Schürrle. Mane got there just ahead of Schürrle, and Schürrle will be penalised, and a card is coming out for the Ajax number 3, and that card is yellow.
It's the first one he's got wrong. Mane is so quick, and it's the first time that he's dived in. I think he knew that Mane was going to get there ahead of him, and he wanted to make sure. He didn't miss the ball by much, but he did miss it. That's the first big error in terms of his tackling that he's made.
Yeah, Per Schürrle would have known, like just about every defender in Europe, that if Sadio Mane gets to the ball fractionally ahead of you, you are stuffed if you let him go. So that was very much one taken for the team by Per Schürrle, who's conceded this free kick at 35 metres out. It's on the right hand. To remain, and not only is this game beautifully poised, but so too is Group D. Is Group D of the UEFA Champions League, still very much all to play for in terms of who's going through, whether it'll be Liverpool and or Ajax and or Atalanta, or maybe not Liverpool at all. That is still a possibility as well. Here's Klaassen into the penalty area, just dispossessed by Matip as he was shaping to shoot, and that's left a bit of space for Curtis Jones, who's covered 40 to 50 metres already before spreading the ball out to the left to Sadio Mane, up against Mazraoui into the penalty area. Robertson on the overlap, good crossing opportunity, but Robertson was thinking beyond even that. He saw a gap at the near post and was trying to sneak it beyond Onana, but instead finds the side netting.
Captain Jordan Henderson is furious because he feels that ball should have gone to the far post. He was running in between two Ajax players, but Robertson trying to exploit that gap at the near post, and he just gets it wrong. Don't think he'll get away with that next time. I think they'll expect the cross next time.
Yeah, Andre Onana can probably safely assume that that trick won't be repeated, not immediately. Anyway, his hair is standing on end magnificently tonight, the Cameroonian goalkeeper. Ever present in the Ajax goal in all competitions this season, and one of the emerging superstar goalkeepers of European football. He's got the ball in his hands now, all in luminous yellow, and he bowls it out to the edge of the penalty area to Blint, who left-footed plays it forward into the path of Klaassen, who's come as close as anybody for Ajax so far this evening to breaking the deadlock. Gravenberch to Klaassen, forward for David Neres, first time to Tagliafico, who strikes it against Salah. Throw in, quickly taken. Tadic was in space. Across comes Matip, who puts it out of play again for a throw, a couple of metres away from the corner flag as Ajax attack down the left-hand side. We are in the final minute of the 45, and it is the Dutch side, the most recent winners of Eredivisie, who are on the front foot as we reach the closing stages. Tagliafico looking to cross and wins a corner kick as the ball is deflected behind by Nico Williams. So an opportunity for Ajax as we tick towards stoppage time to apply some pressure to Liverpool.
They've done a really good job of keeping the pitch wide in this first half, Ajax, and they're starting to get the full-backs forward. Tagliafico quiet early on, but he's become more of a factor as the game's worn on.
Tadic with his right arm raised, prepares to take this corner. It's flicked on by Klaassen, away by Mane. Not for long. Here's Anthony controlling, although he's having to retreat to first Mazraoui and then to Blint. We are into one additional minute at the end of the first half at Anfield. Will we get a goal before the break? Ajax are the team on the attack at the moment. Tadic Gravenberch, shape to shoot, then cuts inside. Now he's inside the area, and when the shot does come from Gravenberch, it was still rising as it cleared the crossbar, and it remains 0-0, Chris.
Big goal in Germany because Borussia Mönchengladbach have equalised. They can go through tonight if they are victorious, and they're level. They haven't been at their best in truth against Inter, but they have clicked into gear when it's mattered most. A cross in from the right hand side, and there to meet it was Alassane Plea, and from 6 metres out, a header into the ground beyond Handanovic. 1-1, and Gladbach now again are dreaming of a place in the last 16.
Well, there goes the half-time whistle at Anfield. It's been absolutely enthralling. We've not had a goal, but not for the want of trying. Curtis Jones had 2 efforts from the edge of the penalty area. One of them, the right-footed one, striking the upright and cannoning to safety at the other end. Mazraoui's shot was well saved by Liverpool's backup goalkeeper Koyvin Kelleher, starting tonight in place of the injured Alisson. It's been end-to-end. It's been ferocious, but it's Liverpool 0, Ajax 0 at half-time.
You're listening to UEFA Champions League Matchday Live.
Andre Onana and Koyvin Kelleher are the last 2 players to leave the Anfield pitch. Players heading down the tunnel in the Spanish capital as well. Jackie Oatley, Atletico are 45 minutes away from a place in the first knockout round yet again.
They are. They lead an understrength Bayern Munich by a goal to 0. But full credit to Atletico. They know exactly what they need to do, and they have been excellent. João Felix, the young Portuguese forward, an absolute joy to watch. But his flicks and tricks haven't been frivolous. They've been full of purpose and consequence. And he has scored the only goal so far on 26 minutes. It was a throw-in from the right from Kieran Trippier. He found Llorente 1-2 with him. Llorente just about kept the ball in as he cut it back from the byline. And João Felix spotted an opportunity to dart forwards towards the near post. He beat Zula to the ball, and he rifled the ball past the goalkeeper Alexander Nubel in tonight in place of the rested Neuer. And they've had other chances as well. Carrasco on the left wing back position. He's been absolutely outstanding, combining on numerous occasions with Felix. We haven't seen a huge amount from Bayern. They have a very youthful side. Musiala's been wonderful, the 17-year-old England under-21 international. He had a chance which he really created from himself, picking up the ball from Musiala. Beautiful skill, and then fired over the bar. The other 17-year-old making his debut tonight, Bright Array and B, is actually playing left wing back instead of centre half, his usual position. Some neat touches from him. He's done nothing wrong, but Sane really with a chance from the edge of the box. I have to laugh because it was the most woeful finish. It skied not just over the top of the crossbar, but virtually the stand as well. Atletico by far the better side. They lead Bayern Munich by a goal to 0.
And Bayern's 50-match winning run in the Champions League is in serious jeopardy, but they have picked a very weakened side given they're already through as group winners. Atletico are about to join them. OK, here are the half-time scores in the late match. As you've heard, Atletico 1, Bayern 0. Earlier in that section, Salzburg beat Lokomotiv by 3-1 away from home, which is why a win for Atletico will put them through. In Group B, it's Borussia Mönchengladbach 1, Inter 1, and earlier it finished Shakhtar 2, Real Madrid 0. As things stand, that section is fascinatingly poised. All 4 teams will go into match day 6 with a chance of going through. Group C, Marseille 0, Olympiacos 1, and Porto 0, Manchester City 0. And in Group D, it's still Atalanta 0, Midtjylland 1. One of the results of the night so far, that'll be Midtjylland's first ever Champions League win if they can hold on. And your commentary game, Liverpool 0, Ajax 0. No goals, Kevin Hatchard and Stephen Wyeth, but absolutely packed full of incident. I'll come to you first of all, Kevin. We expected Ajax to come out and attack Liverpool despite being the away team, and whenever they do that, we know we're going to be in for a great spectacle.
And they committed men forward from the get-go. They were willing to have 3, 4, 5 men in the penalty area. They've kept the pitch wide with Anthony on the right-hand side and David Neres on the left. They've started to get the fullbacks forward as well. It's interesting that Liverpool have chosen not to press Daley Blind, because he's been able to dictate a bit from that centre-back position. I think Schürrle, until his yellow card, was excellent, has defended really, really well. However, they have made mistakes in their own half, and all of Liverpool's chances really have come from Ajax coughing up possession in their own half. So Liverpool haven't really created too much in of themselves, but they've waited for errors and then they've struck. And Ajax have got away with one or two, but it's a beautifully poised game.
Stephen, I mean, I don't know if they're lazy comparisons. It's not just the stature, the mop of blonde hair, but you can see why Schürrle and Matthijs de Ligt are so heavily linked, can't you? We saw what de Ligt can do in this competition, and now he's at Juventus. And I know he picked up that yellow card, Schürrle, but given he's playing against 2 or 3 of Europe's best forwards, he's had a pretty good first half.
Yeah, well, and it's, you know, without wanting to be cynical about it, it wasn't a silly yellow card, it was a necessary yellow card. And sometimes players, even young ones, even those with old heads on young shoulders, have to make those difficult decisions, and that's what Per Schürrle did in that occasion. Look, that's what you've just said there about the comparisons de Ligt and Schürrle is true of Ajax all over the pitch, and is something that you have to have huge admiration for them, because it's not just about their ability to bring players through, it's about their ability to bring the right players through. You know, that Serginho Dest's gone. Well, Nusa Mazraoui is now doing a very similar job to the one that he used to do. Frankie de Jong, Donny van der Beek, they've gone on to other things, and we're purring about the contributions of an 18-year-old Ryan Gravenberch in midfield. So I think we have to applaud Ajax for their commitment to not just youth players and bringing them through their system and turning them into exceptional young men and young footballers, but that they have this ability to make sure that when they know they're going to lose a player, they've got a ready-made replacement within the club.
The Tucumps, just across the road from the Johan Cruyff Arena, is one of the great factories really of world talent when it comes to football. And Kevin Hatchard, do we expect the second half to be just as free-flowing in the final third? Because there's a lot at stake here. Liverpool are going through with a point. Ajax, they may know that Atalanta are losing the team they face on match day 6. So a point might be a very good result for Ajax, but something tells me these two teams that they're not just going to settle for this.
It's not the way they play, Chris. It's certainly not the way Ajax play. And if anything, Erik ten Hag, after that first game that they lost 1-0, said to them, Liverpool were there for you to really expose their weaknesses and you didn't do it. And now he wants them to really go hell for leather, really play on the front foot. And you've seen that with the way they've committed men forward. I do genuinely think, all those young players we talked about, and absolutely rightly, I do think Davy Klaassen coming back has made a massive difference to that team, because what he is dynamic. He wants to get forward, he wants the ball, he wants to make those tackles, he wants to make those late runs into the penalty area that give them that extra man. He's been very, very dangerous, and that leadership as well, he's very intense. You can see that, real competitor, so he's made a real difference.
And it's interesting because we heard Stephen rightly saying about the youngsters that Ajax bring through, but actually over the last 3 or 4 years there has been a slight shift as well in transfer policy. We've seen Blind come back, we've seen Tadic come from the Premier League, having been great in Holland before he went to Southampton in England, and we've seen Klaassen come back, and some of that is the financial muscle that Ajax have from that run to the Champions League semi-final, and you can see it's being reinvested wisely. And if they were to pick up a point or 3 tonight, they'll have every chance of making it through to the last 16.
And one of the fundamental truths of football is you need guys, as stupid as it sounds, you need guys who are going to say to young players, you stand there, you go and do this, what are you doing, come back here. That kind of simple thing that goes through every level of football, it's just as relevant in the Champions League as it is at amateur level. You know, these are very important things, and Klaassen, Blind, Huntelaar in the squad, they're the kind of characters who've been there, they've done it, they've won things. They can pass that knowledge on to these incredibly talented young guys.
Ajax drawing at Liverpool at half-time. So it's the break in all 6 of our late matches. We're reaching the business end of the Champions League group stage, definitely. And tomorrow night, 16 more clubs will be striving for glory and potentially for a place in the last 16. You won't miss a thing right here on Matchday Live, as Rob Daly explains.
4 of the clubs in action on Wednesday are already through to the first knockout round, but there's everything to play for in Group H. Both our commentaries come from that section, starting with Istanbul Başakşehir against Leipzig from 18:55 CET.
They do have options arriving to the right. It's Edin Visca for 2-0. And it's the captain who scores to double the lead for Istanbul Başakşehir.
The Turkish champions shocked Manchester United in their last home match. Defeated Old Trafford 7 days ago, though, means they're in a perilous position. We'll also keep you updated on the other early match between Krasnodar and Rennes. Both of those clubs can no longer make it through. Then from 9, it's back to Group H as United host Paris Saint-Germain.
It's Rashford who just clicks through the gears and he scores a wonderful goal!
United can go through tomorrow, and if Paris lose, they could be in big trouble. We'll have the whole match live right here on the show, plus the goals as they go in from the other 5 late games, including from Sevilla versus Chelsea, as they battle it out for top spot in Group E.
Only hits his shot at the goalkeeper, but followed in, and the header into the back of the net by Olivier Giroud.
Dortmund and Lazio can go through in Group F, and they meet in Germany. It's Club Brugge versus Zenit in that section as well, whilst already qualified Barcelona and Juventus are both in action. Juve welcome Dynamo Kiev to Turin, whilst Barcelona make the trip to Ferencvaros. 8 more vital Champions League games, and you can follow them all by listening to the show from 18:30 CET tomorrow evening.
Rob Daly there, who will be in the host's chair for another massive Champions League night. As you heard, Manchester United against Paris is one of the live commentaries. United, one of 3 teams who can go through, along with Dortmund and Lazio. This week we've been speaking with a real legend who played for both clubs. I'm talking about a man you always want to hear from, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who's now playing for the 7-time European champions AC Milan in the UEFA Europa League. But also, Milan are top in Serie A, and he's been speaking about his desire to get back to playing in the world's greatest club competition.
I mean, we are playing to play on the highest level. We are playing to play in the highest tournaments, in the best tournaments. Milan is a club with great history of Champions League. So I have pain in my heart when I don't see Milan in the Champions. When I was here the first round, we were playing the Champions League, and the world of Milan is in Champions League. But to play in Champions League, you first have to do good in the domestic tournament, let's say league. And if you don't do good there, you don't reach the high tournaments in Europe. So we're doing our best, and we're working hard for it. But to play in Champions League, I have to stay another year. So now you did a tricky question, so it's difficult to answer. I will do my best to bring them to Champions League. To play in Champions League with Milan, I don't know.
I was hoping Zlatan was going to give us an exclusive there and say staying on longer at San Siro. Great to hear from the great man, of course, playing for AC Milan now, former Paris Saint-Germain and Manchester United man, and they meet tomorrow at Old Trafford, one of our commentary games. Second halves are about to kick off across Europe tonight, all 6 games. And we want you to get in touch using the hashtag MatchDayLive. Tell us where in the world you're listening. Get involved in our social media topic. Who is your club's greatest player and why? It's all because the last time that Ajax were at Anfield was in 1966, and Johan Cruyff, the great Johan Cruyff, was the best player on the park and knocked Liverpool out. Drew Trammell from Chicago says Real Madrid's greatest player is Zinedine Zidane because of the 2002 final, with the greatest goal ever, he says. And then he adds, quite rightly, adding 3 more as manager, Kevin Hatchard. Your club's greatest footballer and why? Tough question.
Many people would say Steven Gerrard, but I would actually go for Ian Rush.
Okay.
Because he was such a modern forward, such a hard-working forward without the ball, but with the ball. What a goal poacher, what an extraordinary striker he was. And the longevity as well. It wasn't just over 1 season, 2 seasons, it was over such a long period of time. So I think Ian Rush was Liverpool's greatest player, but I know that will be met with a bit of head scratching, I imagine.
I'm not going to read out your Twitter address because you'll be getting plenty of people saying, what? Dalglish? Souness? It's difficult given the pantheon of greats, and many of those Liverpool players have flags, don't they, in the Kop, and many of them are laid out on the empty seats tonight under the floodlights in the northwest of England. Liverpool with work to do still to go through in this season's Champions League. They are heading through, so are Atletico, but there's a lot to play for this evening, that is for sure. If you are just joining us, here's what you missed in the first half of our 2 commentary matches.
Mo Salah back, off the frame of the goal. What an effort that was from Curtis Jones, curling it right-footed, and looked for all the world like he was going to curl it inside the post. Curtis Jones cannot believe he hasn't scored. Gravenberch has done brilliantly to retrieve a pass that was fractionally overhit. Now Mazraoui shooting right-footed, and that's a brilliant save from Kelleher, diving to his left and getting his right hand up over his head to turn it behind for a corner kick.
And they've scored! João Felix out of nothing. Marcos Llorente breaking into the box on the right. He cut it back, and there was the young Portuguese forward, this vastly talented player, and he has just given Atletico Madrid a glorious chance of getting out of this group tonight.
Another night to remember for João Felix, who is such a talent, and he's one of the 50 nominees for UEFA Fans Team of the Year for 2020. To see the full shortlist and to pick your 11, go to UEFA.com and the official Champions League app. Now you can win some great prizes, and I wonder whether João Felix will feature in that final 11, which will be revealed in January. Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool have just run out of the tunnel at Anfield. Jackie Oatley is watching Atletico against Bayern. They're 45 minutes away from the knockout stages, Atletico. Do you expect them to go through tonight, given what you saw in the first half?
I would do, but you have to bear in mind that Bayern Munich have made 9 changes from the weekend, so the vast majority of their key men are not playing tonight. So Lewandowski hasn't travelled, Neuer, the goalkeeper, hasn't travelled, there's no Coman, there's no Tolisso, Goretzka, so many players, but they do have so many options off the bench. But I was impressed with Atletico Madrid in the first half, and they did what they had to do. They would just like to have scored another couple of goals. They had chances through the youngster Musiala and through Zane. Atletico Madrid had a few more chances through various players down the left-hand side. His name just escaped me. Yannick Carrasco. That's the bloke. Carrasco, who's so involved in that first half with the flicks and the tricks. I was just distracted by what was going on in the start of this second half as Zane puts the ball over the bar. But yeah, they should have scored a couple of more, but they'll be happy enough with a 0-0 because that would put them through if it stays like this.
Certainly will. That with Jackie Oatley at regular intervals in this second period. So 6 teams through before tonight. Bayern, Manchester City, Chelsea, Sevilla, Barcelona and Juventus. With 45 minutes to go of all of this evening's matches, 2 more sides are joining them. Atletico, as you just heard, and Liverpool. They only need a point. That's what they've got against Ajax. Full second half commentary coming up here. Keep your tweets coming in using the hashtag MatchDayLive. Kevin Hatchard and Stephen Wyeth are your commentary team.
We've played 30 seconds of the second half, and Liverpool, who are now attacking the Kop end of the ground, so that's left to right as we watch on, have won a free kick. Sadio Mane has, to be exact, on that left-hand side. He was fouled by Mazraoui. Ajax are all in black tonight with gold trim. Liverpool in their familiar all-red. The 2019 winners of the Champions League looking to reach the round of 16 for the 4th successive season. Ajax, of course, came very close to reaching that 2019 final themselves, and they too will be hoping that they can be in amongst the knockout stages again, having failed to progress from the group last season and then going out in the round of 32 in the Europa League. Kelleher, the Liverpool goalkeeper tonight, up towards halfway. Diogo Jota loses out to Schürrle, and it's helped on by Tadic towards David Neres, who is, just as he was on occasion in the first half, so far offside that the linesman feels comfortable to raise his flag immediately. 90 seconds played in the second half. It's Liverpool 0, Ajax 0.
It's going to be really interesting, Stephen, to see whether Liverpool are going to be a bit more proactive in terms of trying to create chances, or whether they're going to set those traps for Ajax as they did in the first half and let them fall into them, because Ajax really were only vulnerable against Liverpool when they gave up possession in their own half. So it's going to be fascinating to see whether Jurgen Klopp changes anything or whether he's happy with the balance as it is right now.
Yeah, it's one of those tricky decisions that Jurgen Klopp has to make this evening. He knows a point will be good enough to guarantee Liverpool's progress to the round of 16, but he also knows that he can't just settle for 0-0, because if Ajax were to snatch a late winner, well, that means he's then got to take his team to Midtjylland on match day 6, and the fact that they're winning tonight against Atalanta demonstrates that they will be no pushovers, and once again Jurgen Klopp will need to take his strongest available side with him to make sure that the job is done. So they much prefer, I'm sure, Liverpool to complete their progress through the group stage this evening. But Ajax will make life incredibly difficult for them in that regard, because they have their own progression to think about. And things are very, very finely poised in Group D. Gravenberch with the ball forward, right-footed, over the head of Dusan Tadic and all the way through to Kelleher. Saw a good exchange between an Irish journalist at half-time and one of his followers on Twitter. It was the Irish journalist saying it's Kevin Kelleher. That's how you pronounce it, commentators. If you need to know, that's how you pronounce it. And someone got back to him and said, don't be so silly. You only pronounce it like that if he's from Cork in Ireland. Well, he is from Cork in Ireland, so that is how you pronounce it. There you go. Don't call people out on Twitter without double checking. Here comes Mo Salah down the right-hand side, back into the path of Henderson, forward to Mane. Really important challenge that by Mazraoui on the edge of the penalty area. Had to get that spot on and did. And now here's David Neres on the left-hand side for Ajax. Cuts in field, but the attack has lost a bit of its momentum and he has to retreat to Tagliafico, who's providing support. Now Tadic out on the left-hand side, the Ajax captain. Up the touchline to Tagliafico. David Neres closed down really quickly by Gigi Wijnaldum, and he is fouled by Wijnaldum, and that'll be an Ajax free kick.
Doesn't need to do that, Wijnaldum. He's dived in a little bit there, too eager to win the ball back, but there was an encouraging moment for Liverpool because Sadio Mane had so much space in between defenders, and Mazraoui coming across on the cover as fullbacks are supposed to do. Got it spot on, but had Sadio Mane's first touch been better, I think they might have had a problem there, Ajax. That's a concern for them going forward.
Now it is Liverpool with the concern. They've got a free kick to defend, which Gravenberch rolls short for Tadic, who dribbles it towards Salah, who was the one-man wall. And now David Neres with the cross, and Davy Klaassen again on the end of the corner. And this time with a firm header, he's off target. What a glorious opportunity that was for Ajax.
He should score. It's beautifully worked. And Neres really whips it. It's the pace of the cross that causes Liverpool the problem. And Klaassen's on the move, away from Wijnaldum. He's all alone. It's a tough angle, but it's one that we've seen him make time and time again. And for a player of his quality, really should at very least be hitting the target. But the cross from David Neres was fantastic.
And if the former Everton midfielder was to score the goal tonight that gave Liverpool Champions League jitters, well, we'd be hearing from Everton fans voting for him as their club's all-time best player. In regard to our social media topic this evening, had a spell on Merseyside with Liverpool's great local rivals Everton before the move to Werder Bremen, and then his return to Ajax. So a player that I know Kevin has seen a lot of, playing in both England and Germany, and what he's learned playing in those two competitions, he's now brought back to the Netherlands, to Ajax's great benefit, of course, and he was very close to giving them the lead at Anfield this evening. 5 minutes played in the second half. Liverpool 0, Ajax 0. The hosts attacking down the left-hand side with Curtis Jones, who finds Mane. His cross is headed away by Blint to the edge of the penalty area. Diogo Jota brings it under control with a telescopic outstretched right leg, and now Salah back heels, and it's cleared by Tagliafico as far as Wijnaldum. Good response from Liverpool to that chance created by Ajax at the other end, looking to apply some pressure of their own. Mane, left-hand side, up against Mazraoui, bundles his way past Mazraoui, who goes to ground. Mane's cross is a good one, and here's a chance. Salah eventually leaves it, and it was Williams taking aim, but I just wonder whether Mo Salah ducked out of Nico Williams' way a little bit too late for him to make decent contact with the shot.
It was a good late run by Williams, gambling that it was going to reach him, but I think he was put off by Salah flashing past in front of him. It was always going to be a tough volley anyway. It was around about hip high, so it was never going to be easy to strike that one. But I just think Liverpool aren't quite committing as many men to the initial attack as they could be, because a couple of times now Sadio Mane has been away down the left-hand side. The first time he only had one red shirt to aim for in the box, and on the second occasion he only had two. I just can't help feeling that Liverpool could be a bit more proactive in those situations.
Here's Tagliafico, the Ajax left-back, back to Daley Blind on the edge of his own penalty area. Dribbles forward once again as Kevin Hatchard spotted in the first half. Liverpool seemingly content to let Daley Blind have possession of the ball. Onana's clearance has been picked off by Jones for Liverpool, although his flicked pass intended for Robertson goes out of play for a throw-in, and he sort of sighs in disbelief at his own inability to play what looks a relatively simple pass. Klaas-Jan Huntelaar warming up on the touchline for Ajax. We played 8 minutes in the second half, Chris. We still await the opening goal at Anfield.
Penalty for Marseille, and this is a big one, because if this goes in and Olympiacos don't win this game, then Porto will progress. It's Dimitri Payet, who missed a penalty earlier on in this group stage, who is poised at the Stade Velodrome in the south of France.
David Neres is in and fires the ball into the side netting. It'll be a Liverpool goal kick. In fact, the flag was up anyway, so it wouldn't have counted.
Payet scores beautifully into the top corner, and Marseille's long losing run in the Champions League may be about to come to an end, and more importantly, that might be the goal that sends Porto through to the last 16 alongside Manchester City.
Diogo Jota's ball forward into the path of Sadio Mane. Good chance! Fired wide, and then the flag goes up. Sadio Mane was in an offside position, but once again in this match, Kevin Hatchard from one end of the pitch to the other in a blink of an eye.
And he was well offside, but once again, it's actually terrific recovery from Schürrle, because he's well behind Mane. Mane's waiting for the ball to drop, and then out of nowhere, Schürrle comes and takes the ball off him. I mean, to do that is very impressive. He wasn't to know that Mane was definitely offside. It's a fabulous challenge.
David Neres getting away on the left for Ajax, being pursued by Williams, the Liverpool right-back, and he forces David Neres to retreat to Tagliafico and then towards Blind, but the ball rolls beyond the former Manchester United player back into the Ajax half. Plays it forward with the inside of his left foot, first time by David Neres to Tagliafico, scorer of the own goal when these sides met back on match day one. And then Diogo Jota runs into Blind, and Blind is shown a yellow card. Tobias Stieler, our German referee, clearly feeling as though Blind could have avoided making that challenge, and the replay would suggest that the German official is correct.
It's Ryan Gravenberch who gets him into trouble for once making the error. He played the pass blind. He didn't know that Jota was there, and suddenly that forced Daley Blind into action. I don't think Blind will be too happy with his teammate there.
Williams for Liverpool, edge of the Ajax penalty area, drifting across the face of it under real pressure though. Ball pinched away from him by Blind. David Neres forward, and Tadic is fouled by Matip just inside the Ajax half. Matip protests his innocence. That will though be an Ajax free kick. Back to Chris with this game still at 0-0.
Yeah, and we'll head to Jackie Oatley actually to see how the defending champions are faring against Atletico this evening.
12 minutes played in the second half. Still Atletico Madrid 1, Bayern Munich 0. Bayern with a chance early in the second half. Lucas Hernandez with a header deflected over the bar from a corner on the right, and more wonderful skill from Joao Felix. I'm thoroughly enjoying watching this player tonight. He fed Carrasco into the box. You're thinking, shoot, he's surely going to shoot, and he didn't. He floated the ball across the box, and it came to nothing. 1-0 their lead still.
So they are heading through, Liverpool are heading through, and Porto are heading through.
Gravenberch with the shot, Kelleher with the save, David Neres hits the outside of the post with the rebound, and Ajax are pushing and pushing for the opening goal, and that is as close as they've come to getting it.
Two massive chances that they've had now. They worked it so well on the edge of the box. It was a good save by Kelleher, actually, and Neres steadied himself, and he had all of the goal to aim at, and he just gets his angle wrong and strikes the post. Nico Williams did well to hurl himself into the challenge to give David Neres something to think about, but Ajax should lead. They've now had two big chances, and Klaassen failed to hit the target. Now David Neres has done the same.
And here come Liverpool in response. Diogo Jota turning away from Edson Alvarez. He's got Williams on the overlapping run. David Neres chasing him back. Ajax have regrouped, and they forced Liverpool to retreat to halfway in Fabinho. 57 minutes played, 0-0 at Anfield. Curtis Jones for Liverpool skips away from a challenge, gets the shot away, but it's immediately charged down. I'm sure you heard that on the effects mic with the stadium empty. We were talking about how you can hear the thud of the ball against the post in real clarity. So too when it strikes an opponent who's straining every sinew to close down the shooting angle. Here's Diogo Jota to Jordan Henderson, the Liverpool captain, with a yellow captain's armband around his left bicep, trying to get the better of Gravenberch, who's got back to force him to retreat to Williams, who's crossing left-footed. Really good one. Oh, mistake by the goalkeeper Andre Onana, and it's Curtis Jones who pounces on it, left by the goalkeeper, and Jones appeared beyond him to tap the ball into the back of an empty net, and it's Liverpool 1, Ajax 0.
Well, it's wonderful from Curtis Jones in the sense that at no stage does he give up on this. He anticipates the error, he gambles, he says, OK, I'll be in there, and if the goalkeeper misses it, I'll tap it home. But Andre Onana just does not know he's there. It's what should be a routine ball in from Nico Williams, but he gets stuck underneath it. Onana misjudges the flight of it horribly. But on the flip side of that is great awareness, great desire from Curtis Jones, and he still had a lot to do. It's still a good finish on the run.
Might be the goal that really seals Liverpool's passage to the last 16. To Jackie Oatley watching Atletico and Bayern.
Atletico Madrid almost secured their passage to the last 16 as well, leading 1-0. It was so nearly 2. Llorente down the right, fed the ball into Correa, and he slipped it into the path of Joao Felix in a central position in the box, and he crashed the ball right-footed against the crossbar. It came back and smacked him in the chest. He was unable to control it, but what a chance that was. Still 1-0 to Atletico against Bayern.
OK, here are the scores, although David Neres is on the attack.
Indeed he is, and Ajax now need to respond, because as things stand, Liverpool are not just going through, but they're going through as group winners, and it would be all to play for when Ajax and Atalanta meet next week. Ajax hold the most slender of advantages in the head-to-head between those sides, having drawn 2-2 in Bergamo in the original meeting, so they have the advantage of away goals scored. What a contest that might prove to be if things stay as they are tonight. David Neres with the cross. Klaassen controls it, but can't then navigate around Fabinho from inside the penalty area. Given away to David Neres. Tadic gets the shot away. It's blocked and cleared, but Tagliafico is on hand, but Liverpool have pinched the possession back, and now here comes Jordan Henderson. Henderson with the ball forward. Lovely delivery towards Diogo Jota, who controls on his shoulder. Finds Sadio Mane. Chance for Liverpool to kill off the match, but Sadio Mane's shot is high and wide, and with an hour played, it remains Liverpool 1, Ajax 0.
What a fantastic contest. So earlier on in Group A, it finished Lokomotiv Moscow 1, Salzburg 3. As you've heard in that section, Atletico 1, Bayern 0. Atletico are going through along with Bayern, who are already qualified as things stand. In Group B, it finished earlier. Shakhtar 2, Real Madrid 0. Borussia Mönchengladbach can go through tonight with a win. They are currently drawing 1-1 against Inter. In Group C, Porto 0, Manchester City 0, and Marseille 1, Olympiacos 1. Those results good enough for Porto to go through alongside Manchester City. And in Group D, Atalanta 0, Midtjylland 1 still, and Liverpool 1, Ajax 0, which Stephen Wyeth has just said would mean Liverpool will top the section tonight. And an almighty battle on match day 6 will take place in Amsterdam between Ajax and Atalanta, which is one of the early games in 8 days' time.
Jurgen Klopp celebrated that goal, by the way, like a lottery winner, because his fist pumps said celebration, but the look on his face was one of complete and utter disbelief, as though he just didn't understand how it had happened. The error from Andre Onana to let the ball drift over his head, and Curtis Jones nipping in behind him. I suppose it was a combination for Jurgen Klopp, who couldn't believe the goalkeeper had made that misjudgment, but also that Curtis Jones was onside, and he was. Here's Dusan Tadic down for Klaassen, who wants the ball to drop for the volley, and Fabinho gets to it before the ball does that. Cleared as far as Edson Alvarez, but he's given it away to Mo Salah, who's swapping passes and going through the middle now. Salah looking to get beyond Tagliafico, who recovers, but then the back pass towards Salah, and Onana is out to spare poor Schürr's blushes, because the ball back towards the goalkeeper had nothing like enough revolutions on it, and Mo Salah was very nearly in.
Well, Onana has partially redeemed himself there, but there were so many parts to that, Stephen. It was a great run by Salah. The initial challenge is brilliant, but then, as you say, the back pass is so short, and Onana, alive to the danger, spread himself superbly, and Salah couldn't really get the shot away.
David Neres in towards Klaassen, who is now playing as the most false of all false nines. He's retreating back towards the position on the field that his number 6 on his shirt would more accurately represent. At 1-0, Chris, but still feels like this game could finish absolutely anything, with just over a quarter of it still to be played.
It does. Completely breathless at Anfield. Huge goal elsewhere, because Romelu Lukaku is off celebrating, and so are Inter. They really have to win tonight to keep their hopes alive of making it through, and their number 9 has delivered. Got the ball on his right foot, his weaker right foot, on the edge of the box, and lashed a shot beyond Jan Sommer. Fabulous finish into a 2-1 up. Midtjylland have just hit the bar and close to going 2-0 up against Atalanta. It was a Zlatan Ibrahimovic-esque flick from Big Sorry Kaba, but it rattled the crossbar in Bergamo, and it remains only 1. But Inter, well, Kevin Hatchard, they're giving themselves an almighty chance in, frankly, a ridiculous section.
And Romelu Lukaku, superb once again. That is a classic Lukaku goal. The strength to hold off Zakaria, and then the accuracy, as you say, on his weaker, supposedly, right foot.
Dusan Tadic, lovely pass for Anthony, trying to cut onto his left foot. Anthony's shot is straight at the goalkeeper, Kelleher, a tame one, but Ajax have been pushing ever since falling behind, and they are certainly not out of this game as yet. Here come Liverpool though. Mo Salah thinks he's through, and then collides with Andre Onana on the edge of the penalty area, and then the flag goes up to tell you that Mo Salah was in an offside position, and Onana will require a little bit of treatment, because that was a heavy collision between the two players.
Yeah, Ajax are squeezing up now. They're trying to make things happen. They're trying to commit men forwards, as they have done for the whole game, but they are leaving more and more space, and we've got to bear in mind that Schürr's is on a yellow card, so that is a factor. Daley Blind's on a yellow card, so they have to be very, very careful, and Liverpool still have so much pace in attack with Salah, with Jota and with Mane. So to an extent, Liverpool have Ajax where they want them, but as we've seen, Ajax have been creating chances throughout this second half.
Blind with a booming ball forward, which David Neres has absolutely no chance of getting on the end of. Behind it goes for a goal kick. Well, this time last week, or just short of a week ago, Liverpool lost at home inside 90 minutes for the first time in any competition in 26 months. As things stand, Ajax's incredible run of form away from home in the Champions League is now coming to an end at Anfield. 17 games, including qualifiers, since they were last beaten on their travels, but they are a goal behind, and they have just 25 minutes now to try and turn things around, because in many ways an equaliser, although that would help them, nothing would help them more than winning the game tonight. That would give them real confidence, real belief that they would be progressing to the round of 16 in the Champions League. The ball is at the feet of Kevin Kelleher, the Liverpool goalkeeper. It's played out to the left-hand side to Robertson, who plays it up the touchline to Diogo Jota, who's been just so magnificently brilliant since arriving at Liverpool from Wolves. Many people thought he was arriving as a backup to one of the established front three, but 8 goals in his last 8 games in all competitions is a demonstration of just how much more than that he has been. Here's Curtis Jones inside his own half, out to Robertson. Fabinho surveys things ahead of him, and plays a delicate little pass into the path of Wijnaldum, who stumbles under pressure from David Neres and then is trying to win the ball back. Gravenberch, he is briefly dispossessed, but he has an uncanny ability, Gravenberch, to reach a ball that looks to have gone beyond his reach, and he manages to retrieve possession. Daley Blind up towards halfway, and then left-footed out to the left-hand side to Anthony, who's running at Robertson, and then playing the ball to Mazraoui, and his cross is blocked behind by Fabinho for an Ajax corner kick.
Got to say, I think Fabinho has been tremendous for Liverpool in this second half. He's so often been the man making the block or making the tackle. He has been very, very impressive. Once again, though, Ajax keeping the pitch wide, and Anthony this time having Mazraoui underlapping, if you like, and he was able to play him through. Good move from Ajax.
Corner is taken and swung in and headed away by Matip. It was taken short to Gravenberch, who delivered the cross. Now Tadic sends it back in with interest, left-footed. Schürrle gets his head on the ball. Matip tries to head it away, and there was a collision which was instigated by Edson Alvarez, which is why it'll be a Liverpool free kick. Midway through the second half, Chris, it's still that Curtis Jones goal for Liverpool to 0 against Ajax.
Elsewhere in this section, Josip Ilicic has just crashed a free kick from a great position straight into the Midtjylland wall, and the Danish champions are still 1-0 up in that match. I'm just going to read you out the Group D table as things stand. Liverpool onto 12 points and through as the section winners. Behind them, Ajax and Atalanta both on 7 points, and Midtjylland on 3 points. And who plays on match day 6? Ajax and Atalanta at the Johan Cruyff Arena. Kevin Hatchard rubs his hands, and with glee, why not? And just one other section, Group B, Gladbach 8 points as things stand. Shakhtar and Real Madrid on 7 points, and Inter on 5 points. I mean, that section is going to be great. Next Wednesday is going to be a thrilling listen here on UEFA Champions League Matchday Live, if everything stays as it is now and we still have 22 minutes to play across Europe.
68 minutes played in the second half at Anfield. Liverpool 1-0 to the good. They've just made a change. Jordan Henderson trying to capitalise on a moment of uncertainty with a long-range shot which rifles wide of the target. There was a breakdown in communication between goalkeeper Onana and one or two of his defenders, and the inquest is ongoing, which gives me an opportunity to tell you about the substitution that Liverpool have just made. Diogo Jota off, Roberto Firmino on for Liverpool for the final 20 minutes or so. And here comes Ajax's first change of the night. Zakaria Labiad replacing Edson Alvarez. I would suggest, Kevin Hatchard, that is a slightly attacking move from Erik ten Hag.
Yeah, and he's been in decent form as well. Labiad scored at the weekend against Emmen. He will look to play in that 10 role, maybe just make that extra man in and around the penalty area, try and stretch Liverpool a bit more.
Fabinho, though, once again is cutting out a ball aimed in his direction, and now he's got it back at his feet, looking incredibly calm as he plays it forward to halfway to Mane, who's swapping passes with Jones and going to the return and getting to the return. Sadio Mane, and crossing first time towards Firmino, away by Klaassen, only as far as the goal scorer Jones. He's got support from Wijnaldum, and Liverpool can just calmly retreat, retain possession. They're exactly where they want to be, exactly where they need to be in terms of progressing, and because of what's going on elsewhere, they're going to be winning the group as things stand. Klaassen and Blind back inside their own penalty area clear. Tadic with a sensational piece of control, but then he can't get the pass away because of how much he's closed down by Wijnaldum, who for the ferocity of his challenge becomes the first Liverpool player to be shown a yellow card tonight. A 1-0 to Liverpool. We're inside the final 20 minutes.
You sense there's going to be a few more chances yet though at Anfield, don't you? To Jackie Oatley watching Atletico, as things stand, go through along with Bayern, they are still beating, I understand.
They are. It's still 1-0, and Hansi Flick has made a triple substitution with young Richards, not so young Thomas Muller, and Serge Gnabry coming on for young RMB, Sarr and Martinez. Not really much change in the way they played, though. They're not really over-endowed with midfielders on the field at the moment, it has to be said. And just now, mistake by goalkeeper Nubel in for Neuer, who's rested tonight, and he gave the ball straight back to Atletico Madrid. Llorente coming forwards, and challenged by Musiala. It looked to the naked eye initially as though that was a foul,